What's good, YouTube? What is going on? Welcome everybody to another edition of Friday Night Sports Talk. And I got the usual co-host on. I got my man Sock D Free, and we got a special guest today. We got none other than Jacob Durant, but you may know him as Stitch. And we're here live. I just want to say good evening to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming through. I'll be trying to monitor it as we go and have our discussion. Any questions, feel free to put them up, and I'll try to highlight it, and we'll try to answer it. So DP Rocca, Jamie, Brian Corbett, Maxi, Optin LD, Frontline, Shawala Ya. Hope I said that right. Apologies if I got it wrong. Appreciate you guys came through. Frontline, appreciate you. And we're going to get started. So first and foremost, welcome to my co-host, my man Socrates Palmer Jr., my man D Free, and Stitch. How you doing, bro? Welcome.
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Good seeing you guys again.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, saw you a few weeks ago
in New York.
Yeah. And that was a pretty good event. We got to showcase one of New York's own in Shushu, and he showed out that night too.
Yeah, Shushu's such a good kid. There's a group of guys that Top Rank signed and Top Rank highlighted during the COVID. Shushu being one of them. Shakir, all these guys. And he's climbed up to the top, man. So they got a majority of their fights during the COVID season, and I was lucky enough to be working those fights along with them. But I know the fans gave him a big reception.
Yeah, he was, and he showed out. He performed well. He had the best knockout of the night. Crazy. And and just a real side note, I had brought a friend with me, a coworker of mine came, and he grew up in India, and he works with me here in the city. He's been in the city for about 9-10 years, I want to say, give or take. And that was his first fight, and to experience something like that's pretty awesome. Your first time to experience that. So, but just for him, I was happy for him to get to experience.
Good. So, I love it.
So, we'll start off. We'll talk. So, everybody knows who you are, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I actually the Garden. We'll talk about the Garden because it's very instrumental in my life, right? But I grew up as a farm worker in the San Joaquin Valley of California, which is actually the agricultural capital of the world. We're all farm workers, bro. I was born and raised in a migrant camp. My address on my birth certificate is CPC number 12. There's like 1,500 people, all Latinos, probably about as big as one of your blocks, huh? And so, but nonetheless, and you were talking about baseball. You were a baseball coach, but my whole dreams were to become a professional baseball player. Every summer when it was time to pick the crops, all these workers would come in from Arizona, Mexico, Texas, New Mexico, and they would come pick the crops with us, and there'd be some good ball players, right? And I'm 13, 14, 15 years old, and every Sunday we'd have these pickup games with men, and I would play with them, and I walked down to Merced College with no car and no income, and I would go to school with friends, and after school they would go home, and I'd stay and practice, and I'd have to hitchhike home 9 miles away from Merced to Planada, and just naive. I was naive in knowing about grants and scholarships and talking to the coach. So I joined the Air Force in 1974 or 72, but in 74 they stationed me in Thailand, and I always said if I went to the Orient, I'd want to study the martial arts, and that was during the Bruce Lee era, so it was real hot, right? Well, shit, they sent me in a place called Thailand. I was a young Chicano, didn't know what Thailand was. That was during the Vietnam War, and but I had friends that took me to some fights, and I saw my first Muay Thai fight, and a guy threw a kick, knocked the guy out, man. And that following Monday on the base, for the GIs, they had Taekwondo, not knowing any difference. Of course, I trained with them for about 3 months, and knowing that Taekwondo is a Korean sport now. And then they left, and the Thais took over, and they kind of transitioned us into the Muay Thai system. So, got back, and I had my own school of kickboxing, and trained fighters, and did promoting, and I was learned how to be a cut man just through the progression, and floated to the top. And I made the move here 29 years ago in Las Vegas to follow my dreams. So I tell people, man, follow your dreams, bro, because they do come true. It takes a little bit of work, takes a little bit of sacrifice, but stick to your guns because they do happen.
Wow. Yes.
quite a story. Do you still remember the first fight you worked here in Vegas?
Vegas, no, but I'll tell you the first world title fight that I worked, because I was doing kickboxing before. I had my own school of kickboxing, so I had some world class fighters, right? And but my first boxing show was Tony the Tiger Lopez from Sacramento. That was about 40 miles from my town. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez in Monterrey, Mexico. So what a way to start off my career in title fights, and now I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and possibly in the thousands now, But Tony the Tiger Lopez was my first world title fight, and his birthday just happened to be yesterday, So good call.
Nice.
He was a good action fighter from the 80s. He was featured on NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And congratulations. We recently saw that you've been nominated. You're going to be an inductee for the Vegas Hall of Fame in August. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I got the call from Michelle and her brother Anthony, Michelle Corrales yesterday, and I'm quite honored. They try to hold this. I'm in the 23-year group. They're going to have 23 and then the 24 year group because of the COVID and all that. But nonetheless, I'm entitled. But I was telling Michelle that when I had my school of kickboxing, Diego, because Sacramento was like 50 miles away, Diego would come, young kid, 15, 16 years old, to spar with my professional kickboxers, and he beat the crap out of them, So I had the privilege of working his second fight with Julio Cesar, Jose Luis Castillo, But yeah, I've known him since he was a kid. But yeah, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I was telling Thomas, April the 28th, thank God things are working out. I'm getting inducted into the National Boxing Hall of Fame. So that's pretty awesome. And now I guess I could throw in the Garden. All right. So when I was with the UFC, I wrote a book called From the Fields to the Garden. And the fields being, I grew up as a farm worker, right? And the Garden was my goal to make it to Madison Square Garden. Well, when I get a call, that was the book, right? Well, now they're doing a documentary in my life. And when I got a call from the producers, a week later, after I signed with them, I find out that Triple G is fighting, of all places, the Garden. So we got that footage. They gave us all access, and then COVID kicked in, So that killed it for a while, and came back, and we got a bunch of Tyson Fury, Sean Porter, Sugar Shane Mosley, and a bunch of guys that we got, and it's almost done. And the final day will be when I get inducted into the Hall of Fame in April. Badass, huh?
That is. Man. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a blessing, man. I'm still that little Chicano that grew up as a farm worker. Never forget where you come from. And my high school, there was like 300 kids, and three towns made the town or the school. But the girls softball team, I sent them some of my stitched athletic tape, and I just put it on social media. They were so proud, but it just energized them, because we're from the same area, and I never forget where I come from.
Wow. And it all started, you started one of the first, I guess, kickboxing gyms or promotions or something like that. Was you like the first kickboxing promoter in California?
Yeah, it was IKF. Steve Fossum was the promoter, or the promoter, and I promoted their first kickboxing event, and that was at Travis Air Force Base. And so, I take that back. That was at Solano Community College, because I worked with a baseball team on doing the show, and we split the profits. So you can't forget where you come from, and can't forget your roots as a baseball player. So yeah, that was my first time working with them, and got the first champions out of the IKF.
Awesome. So I mean, what everybody probably wants.
When you
go ahead.
You got into this game. No, I was gonna say, when you did this game as a cup man, did you was going to be known as one of the best cup in this game? Was that something you was shooting for, or were you in a game as something else?
Yeah,
you're breaking up. You're like in and out. You may have to come in and out. Yeah, I think we got most of the question though. But
yeah, I know.
I'm going in and out.
Yeah.
Let me move it to another area.
Okay. I'll answer that question when he's ready, because it's a good question.
Yeah.
So let's go into another one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that was kind of my question. Like, how did you segue. It's going to be the same segue from from the kickboxing scene. Well, technically, you didn't segue straight through it because you went from the kickboxing pretty much to UFC, right? Before boxing.
No, it was boxing. I came at
Okay,
this time.
okay.
This time it was only boxing. There was no UFC, and I knew Dana White before the UFC, and I was working a K1 kickboxing fight at the Bellagio, and he was in the audience, and he asked for my card, and the next day he called and says, "Hey, look, man, I bought the UFC, and I'd like for you to be one of the cutmen." It was Leon Tabbs originally from Philadelphia, the cutman for Bernard Hopkins. So him and I started off the team cutman for promotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we put that program together,
Okay.
because MMA was such a new sport that coaches didn't know how to wrap hands. They didn't know how to work cuts. So give Dana credit. He brought me in, and because he says, you got to take care of these guys. And yeah, it became quite successful.
So at the same time, Dana brought you in and, in the UFC, but then you guys had a falling out. Like it was pretty bad the way he kind of treated you and the dismissal of the UFC and what he said. I saw one of the interviews. This is like 8-9 years ago, talking about like, a friend, like he's not my friend.
Yeah, my friend, he said.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. And I mean, obviously, I could imagine what your feelings was, but can you tell us a little about that, how you felt at that moment, or like,
Bro, I felt good, man. It was nothing that ever brought me down. The support I got from all over the world was and still phenomenal. People stop me from all over the world, and they still associate me with the UFC. And but yeah, what had happened. And in fact, I was just I was messaging Ray Seffel, president of PFL, a while ago, and I told him what happened is I was doing all the fights for UFC, every one of them. And Ray Seffel, when they had it was called the World Series of Fighting at that time, I think. They had their first professional fights in Vegas. And he says, "Hey, Stitch, because we're friends, can you get me cut, man, like you guys do in the UFC?" And my thing is fighter safety, first and foremost, plus, getting paid a job. So, of course, we did it. And I brought in, I think, Don House and another guy, and we worked with them. And the next thing I know, the next 5 years or 5 shows, I'm not getting no work, So I go and I meet with the attorney, and yeah, he's kind of kissing my ass and all that, but he ends up telling me at the end, well, you gave these guys credibility, and you're an independent contractor, and those were the final words that he gave me. But I said, I'm not here. I was here to protect fighters, not to give them any credibility. They build their own credibility. So that, that's when it all started. And then the thing about it is we were working on sponsors. Fighters were making more money through sponsorships than they were through their fights. I was making bank on sponsors. That picture you put on the screen, I got a patch on my thing. It was a gun store. They used to give me $5,000 a month just to put a patch there and go shoot weapons, right? And that was like one of my 4 or 5 different sponsors. So I was making bank. But if they would come to me, I would close my deal, and then I'd go to you and get you a sponsorship, same, but not as much, but something. And if you got 2 or 3 different sponsors, then it was, pretty good. Anyway, they go into the Reebok deal, and everybody's hating it, and everybody is hating it. And finally, John Nash from, I think, bloodyelbow.com, he contacted me out of the blue, never met the guy, and says, "Would you be interested in doing an interview how the Reebok deal affected the cutmen?" And I go back to the days of my parents fighting for the rights of farm workers with Cesar Chavez. And I thought about that, because we were all struggling. And I said, if I don't man up, my parents, which are gone already, but they wouldn't have been proud of me. And the interview I did was very politically correct, but it went viral all over the world. And I think like in 1 week, I did like 57 interviews. I had camera crews coming to my house. Univision was here, and job offers from all over the world. And yeah, all that was going on. And my wife and I are at Costco, and I get a call from my friends. We're all friends, right? And he says, "Hey, do you have time to talk?" And I knew what it was about because shit was happening everywhere, man. So I get home, and the only thing my friend says is, because of the interview you did about Reebok, the UFC is not going to use you no more. And it's kind of like a shot, right? Wow. All right, well, you tell Dana, I said, he ain't got no balls that he shouldn't call me since he's the one that got rid of me, right?
Mhm.
And so that's where that story came in, because like 2 weeks later, I mean, it was hot, bro. It was the hottest thing in the market for MMA. A couple of weeks later, the UFC's doing their first big show on Fox Network, major, right? I couldn't use my sponsors because Fox didn't want guns, ammo, knives, any weapons. So we had to lose that, but I was already gone. Nonetheless, Karen Bryant is interviewing Dana, and well, what about Stitch Duran? This and that, and you know, he was my friend, so and so, and then he blows it at the end and says, Stitch and I were never friends. And bro, this still to this day, people are making memes out of that. So best thing ever happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
Stick
I
to
mean,
your guns, bro. Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Hey, right, be free.
He got his,
I woke him up, man.
yeah. He's on the job. D3, you got I don't know if you want to ask your question now. I don't know if maybe he answered it for you.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah,
It's like in and out. Yeah,
yeah,
you're like in
I
the-
remember
yeah.
the question. I'll answer it. And yeah,
Yeah, it's the area. Y'all go ahead. It's the area I'm in.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As long as you can, I'll answer. Can you hear me? No, I guess you can, huh?
I think he probably
Oh,
could
you
hear,
can?
but I think
Yeah.
the feed from
Yeah,
him to
I
you
can
is
hear you.
What happened is, 23 years ago, I've been here 29 years. I always wanted to come to Vegas because in kickboxing, I was not only a good trainer, but I was also good at being a cut man because they all got cut with elbows and knees and all that, right? But my dream was to move to Las Vegas, which was the boxing capital of the world. And at that time, I worked for RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company, and I put it for a job transfer because they were downsizing. And out of the blue, like 6 months after I put in for the transfer, I get a call that there's an opening here in Las Vegas, but I got to be here in a week. I talked them into 2 weeks. Hey, I swear to God, you guys, I transferred my school, kickboxing school, to one of my fighters. I sold my house. I put my family in a U-Haul and I drove to Las Vegas for 9 hours with my family. Plus, I took like a $23,000 cut and pay to come do what I do. So, my family supported me, and that's how I got here. And at that time, it was only boxing. And then, I knew Dana before the UFC, and he brought me into the UFC, and that kind of started my whole career. But did I ever expect to get in this position? Never that was never my intention. But and that's a good question, D3, because as I was learning to be a cut man, I remember Richmond, California, Bone Crusher Smith fought Marvis Frazier. Never forget. And then I was learning to be a cut man. I was making the transition, and in boxing, these guys wouldn't show you. Thought it was a secret. Well, this guy did a good job. And I went up to him after the fight, and I said, hey, you did a good job trying to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you did? He says, fuck you. I'm taking this to my grave, and you got to learn like me. And he walked away. That was the boxing mentality at that time. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm never going to be like that man. So my job is to teach and to give back. And I've done this story hundreds and hundreds of times. Never threw his name out once because it wasn't important. But now I go back to Oakland with Andre Ward, and my credibility's gone up, and Andre's world champ, and he forgot about it. He never knew. Now him and his son want to take pictures with me. So I put my arms around him, and I considered that a point of victory. So, yeah, didn't want to ever be like this guy.
wow, that's crazy.
So, are you, as far as teaching the next generation of cutmen, do you hold like official clinics, or how would that, like if someone were to ask you in the street, hey, Stitch, I want to be like you someday, how would they go about that?
Well, I get that question all the time, Socrates. and here's what I tell them is, I said, look, man, you're talking about a guy from the street. I said, look, here's what you got to do. You got to spend hours and days and weeks and months and years in the gym, working with these fighters, being a fighter, know what it feels like psychologically, physically. And at that point, you start wrapping hands for free. You donate your time, and that's your business card. And you do it to the point where they have confidence in you. And as that process, you're learning how to be a cut man. And so it's a process that, they see what I do and they think I've been doing it for a year. I've been doing it for like 35 years.
Yeah. I see a question here. What in a cut man's toolbox to be ready for whatever?
Good question. Everything. I mean, from first of all, good question. Is ice is like your number one ally, right? And the end swell that we put the metal, we keep that in ice to keep it cold because sorry, that's that cold I have, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the Kao's way. Keep it cold. It brings the inflammation down. The Vaseline, of course, in theory, it minimizes the chances of getting bruised or cut. But more importantly, and I tell these young fighters, I said, look, if you're looking for a good cut man, ask him what the adrenaline chloride 1000 does, and you ask these cut men as you guys get them on the phone. If they tell you, well, it stops the bleeding, because I hear that all the time. Well, I know it does, but what are the mechanics behind it? Oh, it's a coagulant. And I tell these young guys, if this guy tells you it's a coagulant, get another cut man. It's entirely wrong. It's a vessel constrictor. So as you see, when I put it on the cut, I'll squeeze the cut and I'll get the little blood out of the little vessels. I'll put the swab in there, which is liquid, and it absorbs into the veins and it closes them up. So that's, for a young cut man, they need to know that. And that's what I'm saying. My job is to educate. Very simple one.
Yeah.
So,
but that's part of the science, the little science that of it, So
well, you got to know the mechanics. You don't, you can't work on a car unless you got the right tools.
Yeah.
So getting back to that, an ice pack is extremely important. The towels that I use are like this, so you can clean up and I like to use them wet. They work a lot better than when they're dry. They clean the face, the body, and all that. But very simple. But always prepare for the worst case scenario.
Okay.
Good question.
All right, D-Free got a question. I mean, he put in the chat, so it's better because it's hard to communicate. But he says he says, what was the worst cut that you saw that was really hard to work?
Well, I guess the worst cut, which was the bloodiest cut, was Jay Haran when he took that knee right here. He was fighting Jonathan Goulet from Canada, and when you pop that big vein, when we all laugh, you can't stop it. And Jay had blood from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And it was so much blood that it made me nauseated. And he's so proud now because that mat is in Randy Couture's gym here in Las Vegas. That's my bloodiest fight, But let me add, Robbie Lawler on his last fight when he fought Rory McDonald got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame as, one of the fights. That was last year. And I didn't know, but he was on stage and he says, I want to also thank Stitch Duran for keeping me in the game. Everybody started clapping, and they sent me messages, man, Robbie didn't forget about you and, this and that. So that was kind of cool, man.
I got another question. What was the solution that got into Ali's eyes in the first listing fight?
No, that's a good question. And I don't know, but you look at probabilities, right? And what did they use in those times? Well, there's a couple. If I was a dirty fighter, what I would have got is I would have got a jalapeno, cut it in half, and rub it on the glove. It's very simple, right?
Yeah.
Right? So that would have been my first guess. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, we all know. I mean, how many times you tear up when you cut a jalapeno, right?
Yeah.
Put that in your eye, it's gonna make you cry.
But when you mentioned the end swell, the towels, and the adrenaline, as far as what you're allowed to have, is that universal?
The adrenaline is pretty much universal. All the other applications, the end swell, those are pretty basic. They're not medical issues, so you don't have to worry about them. But they have to be by prescription only. Luckily, I work with some doctors that understand my techniques and my work and all that. So I have no problem. There's also another pad that I use called Quick Aid, and it's a little gauze pad that you literally just put it on the cut, and it dehydrates the blood. And it's 100% natural, and it doesn't require a prescription. So I recommend every team to go out there that goes out there to carry it with them. You don't have to be a professional cut man or anything like that. Just clean the cut, wipe the cut, put the Quick Aid on it for about 40-45 seconds, and it works good. You had asked me about seminars, Socrates.
Yes.
I do, and I have. I did a big one in Mexico City for like 120 people, and on live, and then like 40 Zoom, and but I just put a series of educational videos that we're working on trying to get them on air so that people could tune in and teach. That's, as a martial artist, my job is to teach, not to keep things that grave secrets, take secrets to your grave. That's not my nature.
Pay it forward, so to speak.
What's that?
To pay it forward, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%.
Was there anyone that mentored you when you were first starting?
Well, not so much mentored, but supported me. Like I said, because in those days it was only boxing, bro. And I remember I'd be in the dressing room and I'd be sitting and I'd be looking and observing and look at their mechanics and this and that and like wrapping hands also. And I would do it on myself, and some things made sense and some things didn't make sense. So just through the process of elimination, I had to learn on my own. Unfortunately, that's why now I teach. Steve Mazzagatti, when we were doing the Ultimate Fighter reality shows, he made a comment that I'll never forget, that I always pass on. And this is like, that'd be 12, 13 years ago. He says, Stitch, you revolutionized being a cut man. And that's one thing I could take to the table and say, yeah, I made it different. I made it safer for the fighters.
I'm just going to ask a general question. I know what pretty much the answer is, but I want you to say it. What is the overall job and the responsibility of a cut man? It's almost the obvious, but it's really another meaning, another reason. And I want you to kind of explain.
Well, I like to say I give the fighter one more round,
Exactly.
but that's the bottom line, right? Is one more round and protect him. I just saw the highlights for the Ngannou and Anthony Joshua fight. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Joshua hit him with a right hand that he set up in the dressing room. It was so obvious that he was going to hit him with that right hand. But then you look at injuries. Now, when they gave Ngannou and I haven't seen the whole fight, I'm thinking it's a standing 8 count that he got dropped before that. When the referee let him go, he was still hurt.
Yeah.
So he didn't react to Anthony Joshua because his brains were still scrambled and he got knocked out cold. But that's why it's important to understand your fighters. And I did that with Andre Durrell when he fought Jose Esquiligi. On the second fight, he was taking what I call long-term damage shots, where you get punched here and comes out here, right? And I'm looking at the doctors, and they're thinking of stopping the fight, right? And I go to Andre, and I'm working on him, and I whisper, I said, look, the doctors are thinking of stopping the fight. Do you want to continue? And he goes like this, a small note. I stopped the fight, and the coach, Virgil Hill, and Virgil Hunter and his grandfather, no, one more round. I said, nope. Once you told me no, you're done. The next day, him and his wife, like 8 a.m, called me, and they thanked me and said, he says, Stitch, I just didn't have nothing with me, so no telling what could have happened. And Cornelius Boza Edwards was a great champ out of the UK, kind of runs the Mayweather gym here in Las Vegas, and I've known him for years. I worked with Art Sawano, that was also from Uganda, and that's how I met Boza Edwards. Well, he told me yesterday that Art Sawano passed away, and he showed me a video of him and his dementia. He's like this. He can't, it broke my heart just to see that, he's not functionable. But Andre Durrell could have been in the same position.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Boza Edwards. One of the bloodiest fights I remember on TV was him and Bobby Chacon. I think that's the third fight. And, so just to come full circle with what your profession is.
Well, you do know your history, Socrates. I'm impressed.
Un poquito.
Yeah. I gotta go tell Boza, they're talking about you, man. So Boza told me, and here's what I tell these young fighters, and one of them mentioned it the other day, Ben. But Boza says, because I told him I wanted to move to Las Vegas. I still lived in the Bay Area, and we hooked up in San Francisco, and then flew to England together. And I said, man, I want to move to Vegas. He said, look, man, let me give you some advice. You need 3 things. You need a job, a place to stay, and a car. And I thought, and I always had that recommendation with me. I always had a job, a place to stay, and a car. And this is what I tell these young guys, follow your dream. You need those. They're automatic, and fighters that walk into the gym, every one of them that I see, their number one goal is to become a world champion. It's not going to happen. So you need that job. You need a place to stay, and a car. Good advice, huh?
My boy Skywalker, his uncle is Bobby Chacon. He says, my tío Bobby Chacon fought Boza Edwards back in the day, Warriors. And then I had a question from somebody in the chat for you. He says, any special tricks you use to keep a cut from reopening during a fight or keep the bleeding under control?
Yeah, good man. Good questions from your listeners. No, it's the same techniques, man. You know, if it works for a major fight or a major cut, it's going to work for every cut. But it's just cold, direct pressure, knowing when to put the right medications at the right time. You know, because there's that other ones, and I think you guys talked about New York. New York's the only one. They only allow the adrenaline chloride 1000 and the Quick Aid, and the Quick Aid is the one that I introduced to them. But there's other ones that like Avitine and Thrombin, but very few people use them. But no, that's good point.
I got a question. I want to bring this up. And I heard about this, like, I guess years later, but and it looked weird. So your job is to, you know, give the fighter another round, but there are cases where, you know, you look to protect the fighter and maybe you can't stop a cut, or, you know, the fighter is ahead. The fighter may be way ahead and you feel like, you know what, an accidental headbutt, it's a bad cut. The Klitschko fight, there was a Klitschko fight where I believe you opened the cut or you squeezed it to show, like it was a bad cut, and you said, oh, so you made it, you kind of made it look like it. Well, I may doing a bad job explain, but it was a Klitschko fight that he got a technical decision, and you did something. It was something to make the blood come out more or something, because he was up on the scorecards easy.
This was my first fight with Vladimir. He had just come back from losing the world title to Layman Brewster. And,
so Williamson or something like that, I think it was.
What's that?
Yeah, DeVaro, touch of sleep.
Okay.
And DeVaro still hates me to this day. We're friends. He said, man, you changed my life. You know, could have been better than that. So anyway, it's my first fight working with Vladimir, but I had met Vladimir. Well, I'd never met Vladimir and Vitali. In 1991, when the Soviet Union first broke, we took a team of professional boxers and kickboxers to fight the Ukrainians. And at that time, they were already young superstars, right? So they come to Vegas and we're talking, and that's our association. But Emanuel Stewart at that time was commentating for HBO. And we got some fights at the MGM, and, you know, I'm there talking to friends, you know, watching people walk in, and Emanuel walks by and says, Stitch, he goes, I need to talk to you about Vladimir. And he goes like this, right? So I look at my friend Steve, I said, you see what I saw? Well, the next day, he said, hey, man, Vladimir, because I was in Ocean's 11 when I was his cut man. He wants a cut man that was in Ocean's 11 to work with him, which was me. And, of course, after that, I worked with him for 8 years. But now here's my first day, and I'll give you some scoop behind the scene that very, very few people know. So, you know, he's getting ready to fight, and we're outdoors at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. He's going to fight DeVaro Williamson, and I'm outside the tent, and I'm watching the fights, and one of the guys comes and gets me and says, hey, man, I need you inside the tent. Vladimir's bleeding from the nose. So he's warming up, and I guess he punches himself. And so I had to work on him in the dressing room, right? Not knowing. But anyway, going into the fight, he had won the first 3 rounds. Didn't look great, but he won them, right? In the 4th round, he gets dropped. And it was a quick, nothing that made him hurt, you know. But in the 5th round, he takes that unintentional headbutt. And I've worked those before with Forrest Griffith, with other guys, Jay Haran, and they're very, very tough to fight or to control. But at that point, I told Vitali, I said, look, you got a back cut, or I told you, Vladimir, you got a back cut, you're winning the fight, because I always score the fights as I work them to understand. You're winning the fight, I'm going to have the doctor stop the fight. So when the doctor came, she knows me because we worked the UFC many times. She, well, what do you think, Stitch? And I go like this, and I open it up. It's pretty bad. Stopped the fight, went to the scorecards. He ended up winning the fight and became world champion for 8 years. So a couple of shows later, I see Jay, what the hell's his name? He was a referee, and he comes up to me and says, Stitch, did you do what I thought you did? Did you open up that cut in front of the doctor? I said, I did. He goes, man, that was ingenious. You know, so, and I just sent Vladimir a message today. You know, they're fighting Russia right now. Him and Vitali's the mayor of Kiev, and Vladimir's kind of at the face. And I found an old email, and I said, I hope this one is still active, but I want to let you know that I'm always thinking about you, and, you know, I wish you guys best.
That's an awesome story, but that's why I wanted to bring that, because I saw that in the interview you did a while ago, and I was like, I got to bring this up. That was pretty cool. And then that when you saw the ref a little bit later, he's like, did you do? And that fight, they booed Klitschko badly. They booed him a lot in that fight.
Yeah, he was a popular, you know. But the best people I work with, him and Vitali are the best people I work with. Just super guys, man.
Yeah.
Great research, Tom.
Thanks. The interns are working today. So-
Well, if you want a good show, you got to do your work, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Well, since you brought it up, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Hmm?
You are also a movie star, aside from being a. How many films have you been a part of?
Well, seven that are credited. I did a couple independents, one with Edward James Olmos, and another one just to kind of help him out. But 7, I did. Yeah, listen, I'm at the farthest thing from being an actor. I just blessed to be things are happening to me. So the day I was leaving R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, because they had a program where they would buy you out and pay you and keep your insurance for a year, let you make a transition. I figured, man, now's the time for me to make the move. I was already in Vegas, right? So that whole year I did it, and I just kept going forward and making the best out of it. And these opportunities came, so I took advantage of them.
Was it difficult? Like, I mean, because when you're playing a role, are you just being yourself, or are they trying to tell you to act, or it's just to be natural? Like, how is that like experience? Like, as being in a fight and doing what you do, but then they tell you, now you're acting the role. Like,
no, that's a good question. With Play to the Bone, no, Here Comes the Boom. Well, it was me and Chuck Bodak, and Chuck Bodak was the guy that welcomed me, first one to welcome me into Las Vegas, and he's the guy that looks like Colonel Sanders. Put the tape on his. Worked with De La Hoya, Paez, Chavez, and he's the first. When I worked with Raul Marquez, my coming out party was Raul Marquez when he fought Anthony Keith. What is his name? He got a big 5 cuts. Boom,
Keith Mullins.
Yeah, Keith Mullins kept him in the game, like 70 stitches. He won, and that was my coming out party. But so the day I'm leaving R.J. Reynolds, I get a call for what they call casting, and I'm thinking, oh man, it's like 3:00, right? And I'm working with my boss, and it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I tell him, I said, look, man, I got an offer to, be in a movie. You have to be there at 3:00. And he goes, hey, man, I'm just here to sign you out. Boom. So I went home. I got my cornerman jacket, and I think it was, can't remember, it's Sahara. Went and did my audition. I got the job. So it's Antonio Banderas and Woody Harrelson. And of course, being Latino, who do I want to be with, right? Antonio Banderas. But Chuck Bodak got in front of me. Stick out on. He got in front of me. So I ended up with Woody Harrelson. But in the movie, Woody's the one that gets cut, and the promoter, oh, don't worry, you got the best cut man in the business, and his coach, don't worry, you got the best cut man. So I got the accolades, right? Which was kind of nice. And then I did Balboa when Rocky fought his last fight. Well, I did Ocean's 11, the total, of course. And then I did Balboa when Rocky fought his last fight. And I did Creed 1, Creed 2, Creed 3. I did one with Salma Hayek and Kevin James, and Here Comes the Boom. So yeah, it's been a blessing. And I saw Mike a couple months ago when Shakur Stevenson fought here, and they're working on 4, and I'm looking forward to it. Michael had told me on the second one, and that's why I love this guy so much, man. Just a good guy. Every day I spend time with him, wrapping his hands, just him and I. So I talk to him as he's a fighter. I put him in that mental game, and he wants that authenticity. I think you kind of asking, and they wanted the authenticity, and I gave it to them because I'm very, very picky on little things that I see that I don't want to happen and everything. But Michael, I told him how proud I was of him, and Tessa and Ryan Coogler and Steve Capo that directed Creed 2. And he looks at me like Socrates is looking at me now and says, Stitch, we went from being actors to writers, producers, and directors. He says, I'm directing Creed 3, and you're with me as long as you want. I said, my man.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was going to ask you about, some fighters that bleed a lot. And one of the guys I've written down here is, Marquez.
Yeah.
Marquez is known to be a bleeder, and how is that working with him? Like, I mean, is there any other fighters that are known to be bleeders that, use you as a cut man or look out for you?
In the old days, Rocky Gannon, Rocky, you would punch him here, he would get cut up here. Right? He was that kind of guy, But the thing I look at it because you can be a bleeder or you can't be a bleeder. You can put Vaseline, but it doesn't doesn't take away the probability. So I always look for worst case scenarios. So yeah, I've worked multiple cuts, and I've done the bare knuckle fights, and the MMAs, and so cuts are pretty secondary now.
It's funny. I mean, for a bleeder, El Diamante, He looks good now. I mean, have you seen him? Like he's aged well, you know. So you don't see any, messed up like tissue or anything. Like he looks good, for a guy that's been in some wars and stuff. So
yeah, and then he's doing Spanish commentating, and I told Raul, I said, I just saw him, not long ago. We said on the phone. I said, man, you surprised me with your dialogues. I didn't know you could speak English as well, or Spanish as well. He was using words I didn't understand. So,
yeah. We had him on the show. He was our first guest. And when we started doing this, and he was our first guest, and he's also trying to get him back. And that was the first thing we kind of noticed. It's like, wow, man, you've aged well. So, for a fighter of his caliber and the fights he's been in.
Yeah, and then his son Giovanni's like, I think 8-0 now.
Yeah, he's good.
But I would call me about rapping. How do you wrap his hands? And so I gave him instructions on that. And then, how do I get a cut man? What do I pay him? All the information, education. Yeah. And I give him honest answers, and he knows.
Okay.
Got to take care of these guys, man. They're our babies.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And he's a good fighter, Giovanni.
Yeah,
Giovanni's pretty good. He's a good prospect. He looks good.
Before I forget, let me add this one story. When I got to the Garden, right? I think Klitschko's fighting. I can't remember who he was fighting, but Leila Ali's on the same card. And so anyway, I get there early because I'm working with an earlier Ukrainian fighter, and I'm in the dressing room, and I put my bag down. I'm on my knees, and this guy behind me says, "Hey, man, LA's your town. New York is my town." And I look, I said, "Man, I'm from Las Vegas." But I'm thinking to myself, what's going through this guy's head for him to come up there and make those comments, So
he wasn't joking around. He was
like, no, he was 100%.
Wow.
100%
who was it?
I couldn't tell you right now what he looked like. But I, because I'm putting stuff out of my bag, and no introduction or nothing today, man. LA's your town. New York is my town. And I look at him, I said, shit, I live in Las Vegas, But as I'm going back, I said, who is this piece of shit?
I got another little question here before I forget. Yeah, I got another question. So I saw that you gave kind of like a tutorial, and I think I don't know if it was you. I want to say it was your wife that came up with a little invention that you guys came up with you were explaining earlier to put the press that it's like curved. Can you talk about that? That's your invention, or was that your wife's invention?
Well, my wife named it.
Okay.
But it's funny. In fact, she just mentioned she's on her way now. I'm at the airport with Kenny Florian. We're coming back from London, and we're at the airport, and we're sitting there killing time. And water bottle, if you notice, it's contoured, right? So it's cold, and I'm doing this, and I'm thinking, wow, makes sense because all the irons, the end swells that they have, they're all flat. Mm-hmm. But here's your primary swelling in areas that are contoured. So I came home, I got some clay, I made the model, I had a prototype made, and it's curved on one side for direct pressure, and flat on the other side if you need it for something else. If you notice, that's a good point. I'm going to tell you why it's important. Because if you notice, a lot of these cutmen, if they get the end swell and they're doing this, they're doing the wrong thing. Because they're moving this blood into territory that's not damaged, and eventually it goes back. So cold direct pressure. How many times you guys get cut and you put your finger on the cut, right? A minute later it stops bleeding because blood coagulates itself, but you got to help it out. So that was it. Yeah, my wife called it the KO swell.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Yeah. So did you guys get like the patent on it?
Yeah. Well, no, you can't get, all they got to do is tweak it a little bit. But bro, it has my name on it. So Would you want to get a KO swell from Socrates, or would you want to get one from Stitch?
Yeah. Well, I hope your wife gets a cut.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
No pun intended, right?
Now, if I was going to be a scholar, would I want to read Socrates or want to read Stitch book? That philosophy.
Okay. So you've been in tons of locker rooms. Are you there when there's wrapping of the gloves? Have you ever been in a fight or in a locker room where you've seen anything like fishy going on with wrapping of the gloves and stuff like that?
Nah, those days are kind of done, bro. The old days of Panama Lewis and Louis Resto, right? Mm-hmm. Where Panama took all the horsehair out of the gloves, and he's fighting Billy Collins and Billy. telling his dad that feels like he's getting hit with rocks. Those are those days. You know, now they have inspectors and in the dressing rooms watching you wrap hands. They'll check the padding, you know, they'll check all that. And in the major fight, the bigger fights, they'll send a coach from the other team to inspect. Yeah. But now it's pretty much now it's you know, and if these guys are doing stupid things like that, they shouldn't even be in this game.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's so many myths in this game. And like I tell people, none of us have to be certified to be called pros. None of us.
Mm-hmm.
Trainers, cutmen.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the reason I ask is there's a lot of things go on, and you hear stories and stuff, and that when you think about the commission or anybody actually catching, you know, actually catching anybody with loaded gloves or with like any finagling of the gloves, it's usually the other team's coach that comes in and catches it. I don't know if a commission has ever caught anybody doing anything, and including Panama Lewis, because that was caught pretty much after the fight. So like he was able to get in the ring with it. So,
but I think during the days of Panama Lewis, and I work with Panama, you know, I've worked, so I understand when Francois Botha fought Mike Tyson, I did the pads for Francois Botha. Panama trained him, even though he couldn't work the corner. But in that time, the commissions were extremely weak, and nobody was looking. And I know when Margarito fought Cotto, right? And ESPN called me and says, "What did you think about that?" I said, "Well, let me explain to you the process of wrapping hands. Whenever you have a world champion or a champion, before he sits down to get his hands wrapped, you got everything laid out. You got the padding for the knuckles, you got the slices of tape between the fingers, you got the gauze, everything's already laid out. So what happened is that guy Capetillo and Margarito, he started wrapping hands, and when it was time to put the padding on, he reached in his bag to get the padding and put it on, and I guess that's the one that was, I guess they had a powder, whatever it was that wasn't legal, and that's what did a lot of damage to Cotto. And so that's not the process that a top pro would use. But in the same token, that's the thing of being certified or not being certified.
I see. As far as you know, do fighters approach you to be their cut man, or are you like a primary cut man for maybe a promotion like ESPN or Match or something? How's okay.
Yeah, for both. What happens is for the most part I freelance, right? I'm an independent contractor. But like I said, during COVID, Top Rank called me because I live 20 minutes from the MGM, and Top Rank called and they said, "Look, we're going to do 16 shows in the bubble at the MGM, 2 shows a week, and they're limited on who they could bring because of COVID. Would you be interested in being one of the house cutmen?" So it's me and Mike Basil. And that's the program I put together in the UFC. For me, it's second nature. Plus, it gave me a job, right? So I would check in to the MGM on Wednesday and get tested, and literally had to be on lockdown. The only time you come out is to the weigh-ins and to the fights. Couldn't even go next door and visit your friend, you know. So I would do the 2 fights and go home Sunday and then do it again. And so, yeah, that's how we got going. But when the COVID finished, Top Rank liked the program so much that they kept us because it makes so much sense. The fights I did in Turning Stone last week, I think I worked 5 fights, the 3 main fights, and I wrapped 3 fighters' hands. And then Paul Querido, the other cut man, I think he worked 3 fights and wrapped a fighter's hands. So the money that Top Rank didn't have to pay to bring a cut man, you know, to a hotel, airfare, per diem, it saves them money. Plus the fighters, it gives them quality cut men. And I think it's a great program. So, yeah, I'm going to London a week and a half with Chon Cepeda from Los Angeles, and then so on and so on. So.
Okay. I got a question. I don't know if you answered this in there, but Frontline asked who pays the cut man, the boxer promoter or the commission?
Well, with Top Rank pays me. When I work as an independent contractor, then I negotiate with the fighter, and the negotiations are based on the money that they're making. You know, and one guy said it best at the Mayweather gym yesterday. He goes, "Stitch, you're like a Lamborghini insurance. You know, you charge a lot of money, but you're worth it. You know, if the things ever happen, the guys get their money, and that's basically I'm an insurance policy. You know, and but the same token, you have to have a relationship with these guys. And for me, it's never been about the money, Thomas. You know, it's always been about the relationships
Yeah.
with these guys and the stories that I have. You know, not stupid. It's a business, and
Yeah.
I've come to a level, you know, that you know. So, but yeah, that's how we do it. Independent, and then working for the promoter.
Okay. And you're not far from the Mayweather gym. I've seen and I've seen you in videos and I've read that you pretty much you like to walk over there and just hang out there every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah, barbershop. And it's funny.
Yeah.
It's like coming to America, you know, because there's a lounge. When you walk into the gym, there's open area, and they got a couch and all that, and that's where we just go and talk, and then go past the doors to the boxing gym. But yeah, it's like coming to America, man. It just energizes me.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I don't know if anybody has questions. So since we're on the topic of that, have you seen or heard, obviously you've heard of it, of this this sparring between Haney and Tank that Ryan released last week as a version? Have you heard of it? Have you seen any clips of it?
No, I just don't get into all that. That's
no, okay.
There's so much bullshit in this game, that I don't get. To me, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
I understand hype and I understand this and I understand that, but it's nothing that even concerns me.
Okay. And what do you think of the way? Have you seen Ryan Garcia's behavior lately, like on the social media? Or,
I haven't seen it, but people have talked to me about it.
Okay.
That he's kind of strange and this and that. But in the same token, bro, it could be a mental game. At this thing, when at this time, this stage of the game, you're walking, you're talking the walk, and everything is based on marketing 101. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about it, So whatever he's doing, but I expect him to fight. I have no concerns. Okay. But it's funny you say that because I was just at the Top Rank gym yesterday, and Haney's coming in, and people are asking me that question. Do you think they'll fight? I said, well, I don't know. I'm not working the fight. I don't care. So, not my problem.
Well, okay. D Free had a question. He wrote it down. When you are hired by the promoter, do you work with the fighters as they train, or only on fight night?
Good question. Only on fight night. But Top Rank, they're the best promotion out there. Top of the line. They're a corporate, well-structured company. And what happens is when they start signing these guys up for the fight, they'll ask them, okay, who's working your corner? Who's your head coach? Who's your assistant coach? Who's your cut man? And if they don't have a cut man, then say, all right, well, Top Rank will furnish cut men. Are you interested? Yes. All right. So check that guy off. And do you need your hands wrapped? Some say yes, some say no. They'll check that off. So when it's time for the weigh-ins, they'll give us a list of who wants our services. So I'll go by and I'll introduce myself to every one of them and check, you got gauze, you got tape, and, do you want me to wrap your hands or, this and that. So we communicate with that, and come fight time, we already know who we're working with, and they know that we're working with them. So good point.
Okay. That was a good question too. I was curious about that too. That's a great question.
Yeah. And I love working these Top Rank fights because, usually when I was doing everything else, I was working a lot of big European fighters, Eastern European, and a lot of the big heavyweights. So I never really had a chance to work with a lot of the smaller Latino fighters, and working with Top Rank, they have a whole slew of them. So it's nice to see young talent and helping out Latino fighters.
Mm-hmm. So do you besides the fights that you work in, do you watch boxing? Do you watch a lot of boxing? You follow it? Any interest in fighters, like
Usually I'll if it's free, I'll watch it. And what I'll do, what I like to do is study the corners, right?
Okay.
And that's what I like to do. And let's say the fight already happened and they're going to show it again. Let's say ESPN Plus. I got home, I'll check them out, and I already know what the fight's going through, so I'll fast forward to the corner, and then I'll see the corner work. And it's funny because I was talking to my son yesterday. My 3 kids grew up in the gym, and they know my process of working cuts, and they'll call me, Dad, this guy's moving this. And my son-in-law on what fight just the other day, he says, he's pushing this swell. Look, it's going to come out of his ear. The Japanese kid that fought I worked that fight. He fought up in Turning Stone over the weekend. And,
that he fought the awkward
he
the
fought
Mexican guy.
Venado.
Yeah.
He fought Venado, and so he's doing that, and he's doing extremely what you're not supposed to do.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
I always remember when since you mentioned that you study the corner. I remember when Tyson fought Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
The HBO commentators were, I guess, for lack of a better word, making fun or questioning what they were using in the corner. And it was like it looked like they put water in a glove.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. You know, and at that point, because I knew all the guys. I used to train here in Vegas, right? And everybody thought they were great at what they did.
I think
They
that
have
was
a cut man, so they got a glove and they put
Mhm.
ice and water in it. Horrible.
Yeah.
Worst work I've ever seen anybody do. Horrible.
Yeah, I think one of them. I know Aaron Snowball was one of them, and the other guy I can't remember.
Yeah,
guy. I can't remember.
yeah. Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I got another question for Frontline. This is a good one. What's the hardest cut to get under control?
This one right here.
The one above.
Of all the ones, because that big vein and that vein, you pop that vein, and you know you can apply the adrenaline, and like the first one I worked with Jay Haran when he fought Jonathan Gillette, the bloodiest fight ever, and you know I try to control it with the adrenaline and all that, and then I always mix adrenaline with Vaseline, and I'll use that as a final topical. Well, I covered it up perfect, and there was so much pressure coming out that the blood just spurted right through the Vaseline. You know, so that's the hardest one, and it's the danger one because now the blood gets in both eyes.
Yeah.
And whenever they stop a fight, it's when a fighter is at a disadvantage. And so when that happens, and like Vladimir, that's the same cut that Vladimir had, and I knew the results. And I did shit. I'm not going to try to be the hero and have him go 12 rounds. There's no need for it, right? And but knowing the game, Badou Jack when he fought,
I was about to say that he had the.
he had that big old cut right there. I mean, it was probably about this big.
Yeah.
The corner did a horrible job, and I know because I'm watching it from about 10 rows back, and we're judging it. But the cut man kind of freaked out. He when he had a big towel, he got in there and he would go in there, put on there, and sit down, and he had the bloody swab in his mouth. Looked like it's horrible, horrible. But I knew he screwed up because at the end of the fight, he's sitting outside the ropes like this, looking in, where he should have been the first one in there, cleaning up Badou Jack.
Yeah.
I started working with Badou Jack right after that fight.
Yeah, that was. So you think he was just intimidated by the cut itself because that was
yeah. Hey, listen, just because you're a cut man, don't make you a cut man.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times he's the only way you're going to get good at it is through progression and just through doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And but the corner, same thing. They should have stopped that fight like I did Vladimir because that was for the number one contender for the world title fight. And if you would have stopped it early, then you could have made a case that was an unintentional headbutt and let's do a rematch. But that's what I'm saying. You got to know your game.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, I mean, obviously, the UFC, you've seen your share of bad cuts, but do the gloves, do they cut the same way?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know. No, I don't know. Good question. I don't know. It's a good. Nobody's ever asked that one. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Frontline says Stitch should have been in Arturo Gotti's corner. That boy face would swell up like no other.
Oh yeah, that was Arturo Gatti. I love that. That's the kind of guy where like Rocky Gannon, you punch him here and he gets cut up here, right? And with Mickey Ward, he was a bleeder. He was a cut man's dream. I remember legendary cut man Miguel Diaz. I was working with Johnny Tapia, Rocky Gannon, Raul Marquez at that time. And he said, man, you're lucky. You get all the bleeders. I thought in itself was a compliment.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm tapped out. I don't have any more questions. I think I got a lot. I don't know if you guys have anything else. It's great. I mean, so your next event, you said you're going to be in London, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
but next week I'm going to Phoenix. When my brother retired, they had this one guy that does a great job on pianos. So he did a piano thing on Metallica and got like 40 million views. Anyway, he's going to have a video. We're making a video. They call it Dueling Pianos, and they're going to make 2 pianos made out of steel, and then a couple of those electrical lights, and there's could be lightning and all that. So he wants me to wrap his hands for the video.
Okay.
And then I get home. Well, I come in Saturday, leave Saturday, and then Tuesday I go straight to the UK.
Okay. Great. Awesome, man. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else. I mean, and I know you're not feeling well, and
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
No, I feel fine. It's just my voice got jacked up from so much coughing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to have connections because I called one of the ringside doctors. It's that knows me and all that, and doc, I gave him the symptoms and all that, and he wrote out a prescription for Z-Pack, and I started taking them today. So
nice.
My boy Clarence had a question, and he asked, did you ever see yourself doing this for a living?
Never. It blows my mind every day. To be in the position that I'm at, to work with so many world champions and work so many fights in all sports, to be in all these movies. And, like when I was doing the first Creed, we're in Philadelphia for 6 months or 6 weeks. And I'm telling Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, during break, I said, man, I can't sleep at nights. He said, well, what's up? He goes, I'm here with you and Michael and Ryan Coogler and Tessa Thompson, and puts his hand here and says, hey, man, you earned it. And I thought, well, he's right. I paid my dues. I earned my stripes. But I always bring, in fact, I got a call last night from one of these guys. I call him Drago because, shit, he looks like Drago. Hey, Stitch, you didn't get me in a movie? I said, well, I don't know, But I brought guys in. I brought the referees. I brought the cut man for Drago. I brought other guys of credibility. And so, no, did I ever think I'd be in this position? No. And, people all over the world stop me. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's been a blessing, man. But I always get back and try to help as many and educate. That's, that's going to be the end of, that's how I end up my career, by saying I made this game a little bit safer.
Yeah. I mean, you're a celebrity, and yet you're humble and you're very approachable. Obviously, I've seen you a couple of times, and you're very approachable, and and you converse with everybody, that comes to you. So,
Well, that goes to the same stories that guy that told me to F off. Before I moved to Las Vegas, I had to school kickboxing. But we did a show here in Las Vegas. I used to work with Dennis Alexio. He was the brother in the movie Kickboxer, but he was actually a world champion, great athlete, tremendous athlete. Well, he fought, and then after the fight, me and my 3 brothers are talking to Randall Cunningham. And Randall Cunningham, for you guys, was a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. He was a big star at that time, right? And we're talking to him, and this guy comes up and says, hey, Randall, come here, man. Let me introduce you to these guys. He says, hold on. He goes, let me finish talking to these guys. Bro, at that point, I never felt so important in my life, And he's a pastor here in Las Vegas. And once again, I've told this story hundreds of times, but I've never run into him. But I don't want to walk into the door and say, hey, man, you changed my life. I know the time will come when I run into him and I meet him, and then I'll let him know how much he just influenced me to treat people with respect. And, people always say, hey, man, do you mind if we take a picture? As a man, it's when you don't ask that I should be concerned. That's the fun part of the job, bro.
That's a great story. That's awesome. That's very good.
And I believe Randall went to UNLV.
Yeah, he went to UNLV. Yeah. Socrates, my man. That's why they gave you the name.
The great Greek philosopher here.
Did you ever work with Don the Dragon Wilson?
No, but that was But it's funny when the UFC let me go. I was talking about him the other day. I started with Bellator, and we had a signing. Me and Royce Gracie and can't remember Vanderlei Silva and all these guys, and Don the Dragon Wilson. Man, I never felt so bad for this guy in my life, and nobody knew who he was. That was in the era of kickboxing way back, but nobody knew who he was. So he just kind of faded out into the wild.
I think he did a couple of movies and stuff.
Yeah, he was the Dragon. Don the Dragon was was the guy, him and Benny Urquidez.
Yeah.
You know, and those were the guys that, and then, you know, you had Rick Rufus and, of course, Dennis Alexio. And, you know, these were all the badass guys during that era. So, you know, I was privileged enough to work at the A level with these guys and then bring my skills to boxing. So, good question.
What's your favorite venue? Like electric crowd, like.
Well, I think my favorite venue is the Mandalay Bay. Not so much electrical crowds because I've seen them all, but Mandalay Bay because it's easy to maneuver. You know, the dressing rooms are closed and this and that. And the last fight I worked with Vladimir Klitschko when he fought Anthony Joshua when he lost his world title. There's 90,000 people at Wembley Stadium, bro. It's talking about noise. It was so loud, it was just buzzing. You know, so those are the moments. And I sit down and I look. I said, "Wow!" I remember I was in Japan for Pride with Josh Barnett, and I'm at ringside and I'm looking and I'm thinking, "Wow, man, this is at the Giant Stadium, right? Tokyo Dome." Mm-hmm. And I'm looking, I think, "Wow, man, here I am, little Chicano kid right in the middle of," and everybody's looking at me. You know, I'm right in the middle of ringside. You know, so a lot of great Rio de Janeiro, but so not so much arenas, but areas and people.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your time, man. I mean, you know, I know you charge everybody else, but you're giving us some good quality free time.
But you got to get back to, you know, hopefully you get back, you know. Absolutely. And that's a frame. And let me tell D Free before we go is I had when I got the first Creed movie, I get a call to do Creed, and I look and what the hell was his name? Luis was the actor that was the primary guy that was Luis Guzman was gonna be the cut man. And I look at that but they gave me the position. Well, I see Luis Guzman in the audience at a UFC in Newark, and him and his manager Ed was there, and I go introduce myself to him and I say, "Hey man, what happened to the Creed movie?" He said, "What? They called me, never called me again." He goes, "Oh, I got your part." Anyway, Ed Martin, that was a friend, that was his manager, was also a friend with Eric, I can't remember his last name, but he was one of the supervisors for NYPD. And
oh wow!
I did a drive-by, and that drive. I did a drive along with him, and which was nice, man, because I think we went to I don't know where we went, but I know we went into Queens and went into some of the precincts, and what an experience, man! You know, just to be part of that, and a lot of respect to him. But I think they were saying like he's like number 83 on the list of supervisors. So yeah, I had a good time. Went and smoked cigars with them and all that. Played the part. You know.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Stitch, I really, really want to thank you, and I appreciate you donating us your time. I'd love to have you come back. What I would love to do is, you know, D Free, I think he had to substitute for somebody today to work. So that's why D Free has a platform. Maybe the next time you come with us, we'll do it on D Free's platform and he'll lead the way. Maybe we'll work something out, you know, and do another interview and we'll just talk some boxing again. But D Free, you know, has a channel, and I would like to get D Free, you know, on his channel and for him to, you know, speak to you a little bit more. So
all right, well, let's do it. Let's go a step. I like to do my shit right, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so about 23 years ago, I did an interview on how I wanted to do videos, right? And they were wrapping hands, working cuts, and all that, educational videos. And this young kid, John Barnhouse, had just graduated from the American Film Institute. So he contacted me out of the blue. I knew nothing, this much about film, nothing. I just said I want to do videos. Well, he says, "Hey, man, I just graduated from AFI. I'd love to help you, no charge, you know." So we went out, and that's when Felix Trinidad fought Fernando Vargas, when David Tua fought Lennox Lewis. We got so many interviews that we put a documentary called Boxer's Nightmare, and it deals with all the hardships that fighters go through. So we never did nothing with it because we were nobody, right? Well, John passed away about 8 months ago, and out of tribute to him, I looked at this film again, and I think, oh my God, everybody that I have in here are all Hall of Famers. Some are dead now. I got Mike Tyson before he got his tattoo. Mike gave me some great stuff. I got Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Fernando Vargas for the fighters, Richard Steele, Joe Cortez, Mills Lane for the referees, Emmanuel Stewart, yeah, Chuck Bodak, Doc Brodus. I got all these guys that are legends. I got them in the film, and every issue that's a problem now existed then, still exists now. And I'm looking at this film, and I'll send it to you guys. That's why I want you guys to look at it.
Okay.
Next time we talk, let's talk about these issues. So it's I'm looking at it, and now everything that happened to Boxers Inn is now happening the same thing to MMA guys. So I want to rename it and reshoot it, get some of those interviews, and call it Boxer's Nightmare 23 years later, because nothing has changed. Horrible. But now that Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul, Mike's in the film, and he says, guys like me, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Oscar De La Hoya, when we fight, let's get some of our percentage of our money. Let's give it to these guys. I'm talking about pension plans, insurance plans. Just give it to these guys. We don't need it. We're okay. But give it to these guys. Just take care of them. Mark Ratner, that was a commissioner at that time now with the UFC, says the money comes from the pay-per-view, to help these guys. So my point is let's hope, that Mike and Jake Paul, because they're both advocates, but nobody has really taken those steps. Well, I'm going to try to see if they can help me put this program together. But I'll one of you guys send me your email. I think Thomas, I'll send you the documentary right now. It's,
okay.
It was done on the zero budget. When we went to interview Chuck Bodak in California, we did it at a real nice car museum. But Dick Marconi, that Chuck used to train as a kid, amateur in Chicago, is the owner of Herbalife. That's why he had that real nice area. So he says, where are you guys staying at? And it's just John and I. I said, well, we're staying at this motel. So he took us to the Embassy Suites. He got us a room, wrote me out a $10,000 check. And with that, we did the editing. And I'll send you this as soon as we get off the air, Thomas. Share it with your partners here.
Oh, definitely.
And whenever you guys want to do it, because I want to get the word out. Education is number one. And, I have the proof source of how we can make this game better. There's everything from dehydration to, we were talking about Mickey or Joey Gotti when he fought and was, Arturo Gotti, and he was 15 pounds bigger, and should he have wore a bigger glove? Simple things in life that have to be educational. We got all this on tape. It blew me away when I saw it, and I think, wow, I just can't let it go to race west. So.
No, I appreciate it. That's awesome. For real.
That's like an hour.
And what I'll do is once we all get to look, see it, we'll talk about it, and we'll have you on, and we'll have a discussion about it. I think that'll be great.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, for not only your listeners, but a lot of the fighters to understand that it's education.
Yeah.
And I try to educate these young fighters because it's just not fair to them, man. It's gacho, so let's do that.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole premise of why we do the show. I mean, it's a hobby for us. We love the sport of boxing. We love sports in general. But to get the point of view of, in this particular case, you got a point of view of a cut man, a promoter, right? We've had fighters on, we've had trainers on, we had boxing managers on, So I mean, it's always good to have the point of view from them, and then of course we have our opinion, and we share it with everybody else. So I mean, that'll be awesome. I think that'll be great.
Yeah, I'll send it to you as soon as we get off.
Okay.
All right.
But, much love. I appreciate you, and thanks for your time.
All right, guys. All the best. Huh?
All right.
Thank you, Stitch. Get better.
Bye-bye. Of course. Good?
Okay, I'll take you off real quick. Sorry. Go ahead. All right.
Great job, Jungle T.
Yeah, that was good. Good job, man. Thanks to Stitch. That was pretty good, man. That was also he dropped a lot of gems in there as well. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, you can tell when someone's real passionate about their work, right? They say, if you have a true passion for what you do, you never really work.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think that's a quote. But you can see that, the way he answers, and like you said, he took time out to talk to, we're pretty important guys in our own zip code, but you know,
I mean, we're all right. I mean, you know, and one of the things he's talking about, he gives back, and like he's
Yeah.
pretty humble and he gives back. I mean, we've all did that, you know. And look, we got D Free working and protecting and serving over there.
that's
You know,
right.
we did
Yeah.
work in our communities.
In
You know,
DC
so we
streets.
try to, you know, we share the love. We've coached baseball with little kids in our neighborhood, and we're in the Bronx, and we're not in the good part of the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And so we had some interesting kids over the years, and you know that's what we do. We give back, and I feel like even with this channel, we're kind of giving back too. With, you know, giving people a little bit of, you know, knowledge and something to talk about, right? And you know, maybe not knowledge from us, other opinions and different mindset. And then, you know, we have these guests on and they give their point of view from their personal experiences. And you know, I live for that. I like this. I mean, this is great, and this is why, you know, this is a cool hobby to have. You know, for me at least. So definitely, this was definitely cool interviews. We've been doing good interviews and good conversations the last few weeks. I mean, last week we had Ishe Smith. Maybe we could have Ishe with him. We got both Las Vegas Hall of Famers. They're getting inducted, I guess, the same time, right?
August 10th in Vegas.
In Vegas.
Maybe we do a remote.
You think that?
On location.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, you talk to Ishe, see if he makes that happen. I doubt he'll make it happen, but you could try.
The mailman's supposed to deliver, so.
But yeah, I want to acknowledge the chat. I see you guys. CBVO and Marky Dan just came in. Salute to you guys. McLaren's Frontline. I was gonna ask Frontline to post it. He posted a comment earlier, and I was trying not to laugh out loud. He said, well, this is not the one he put. He said it's Socrates from Mumbai or Punjabi. He said you look like an Indian scammer when you first came.
Indian scammer. Jesus. That's a little, it's a little racist there, buddy. A little racist there. It's okay.
Oh man, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So let's get to it. We got other stuff. I mean, we got more stuff to talk about if you guys want to talk about it. Obviously, I don't know if you guys
talk about this afternoon.
Yeah,
I missed it. I was in and out. You know,
it was bad timing, right? On a Friday when everybody got to work. But I was home. I was working from home today, so I was able to watch the fights after work finished. Right, I'm not snitching on myself. So my time ends at 4. So the 3 fights came on after 4. So I saw the Ray Vargas and ball fight. Sorry, and I thought it was a pretty good fight. I thought Vargas was leading early. He looked okay. It was pretty awkward. But I thought Ball got back into the fight. He dropped Vargas twice, and at the end of the day they scored it a split decision draw. And I thought Ball won the fight. I don't know if you guys took a look at it, if you guys read anything about it or anything, but I thought Vargas lost and he got lucky to get away with a draw.
Well, I was following, you know, through the group chat because you were giving some account. I was like, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess hopefully there's a rematch. I guess mandated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd have to go back, so I have zero opinion on it.
Yeah, it was an awkward fight. I mean, Vargas must have hit the canvas at least 7 or 8 times. I mean, it was slips. He got kind of like pushed down. You know, maybe a couple of them could have been scored knockdowns, but they weren't scored knockdowns. You know, Skywalker says Ray Vargas won 1 through 6. And then 6 through 12 with the 2 knockdowns. Yeah, that's how pretty much everybody had it. Like the first 6 rounds, pretty much Vargas won and controlled. And then the next 6 rounds, Ball won, but he got the 2 knockdowns. So that would give it, what, a 115, 113 with that score? No, 6-6, 113, 1, something like that. But
so there was slips?
There was slips. He fell down at least 7 or 8 times. So 113, 113 would have been the score, but if it was the draw, but I think it should have been 115, 112, something like that. But it should have been 6-6 rounds, and then the 2 knockdowns should have gave Vargas the win. So
were there a lot of advertising on the canvas? Because sometimes that happens. that
And the slips. No, it was just awkward. I mean, Ball was much smaller. It was like an 8-inch difference, and he was trying to get in and trying to rough him up a little bit. He kind of pushed him down. Every time Vargas landed down, he kind of pushed him down too at times. But yeah, but
Ball's undefeated, right? I know Ball had beat.
Yes. Yeah, he's still undefeated, 19-0-1. He beat Dog Ball the last fight by UD. So
okay, and he's I'm assuming he's a great fighter.
Yeah, Skywalker says one knockdown and a throwdown. The first one, right? The first one seemed like kind of like a throwdown. That I kind of agree with you, but it was awkward. It was awkward. It was an awkward fight. So I'm gonna drop the link if anyone want to come in and that did want to talk about it. I'll just drop it here.
I thought you were gonna drop the link on the stream that you saw the fight.
No, you're a fool. But I mean, I guess everybody at least saw the main event, which wasn't really much of a fight.
No, wait. So we're gonna bury the co-main?
Oh no, okay. I just didn't think anybody saw it. I mean, nobody's saying you guys didn't see it. I was the only one that was home watched it. So but we'll talk about the co-main. The co-main, yeah, Joseph Parker and Zhang. Parker won a split decision. One had it a draw.
Do you agree with it?
Majority decision. Sorry, not split. Majority. I agree. I thought Parker won. If not, maybe a draw. Welcome Skywalker.
Hey, what's up, my brothers? Hey, great interview. I just want to come up here, man. Hey, that show was badass, man. Shout out to you guys. Great interview, great questions. Legendary cut, man. He's been in every single legendary fight, bro. You guys, man, that was an awesome show, man. Hey, but shout out to you guys.
I appreciate you, Skywalker. Thank you, man.
Yeah, actually, that Ray Vargas Ball fight, bro, that was kind of controversial. I have Ball winning it too, but yeah, definitely. That ref was some shit, bro. He wasn't calling like that knockdown was like a throwdown, bro.
Yeah,
he threw him over his shoulder and punched him, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, it was tough because, like we're saying, Vargas hit the floor a bunch of times, whether it was slips or like he was pushed down. So he hit the canvas at least, I want to say, at least 7 times. So maybe the ref was just like, all right, this time it's a knockdown. I mean, I don't know what's in his head, but the ref I think he was more of in a bad spot. But yeah, he was, it was an awkward fight for Ball mostly because of the height of it.
I'm saying, bro, he's been good, man, and this fight, man, he looked horrible, bro. He wasn't throwing. He was, Parker was more active, but I mean, Zhang wasn't really throwing nothing.
Yeah,
that's real disappointing. That's real disappointing because, I mean, I definitely was one of the guys that was on that bandwagon. So he really took a step back.
I mean, the first 3 rounds, Zhang looked great, and he dropped them in the third. Right? Was it third or fourth? I believe it was the third round. He dropped them straight left.
Third, yeah.
It was a beautiful knockdown. He was hurt and everything. But after that, it just seemed like he seemed fatigued. It was weird. Like he just seemed very fatigued, and he would start off the round for like 20 seconds or whatever, throw a few punches, but then Parker would just go in and just get busy, and Zhang didn't really fire anything back. And then Zhang dropped him again, like in the 8th or 9th round, I can't remember. And it was a weird punch. He caught him on the side of the head. And it didn't look like he threw much on it. It could have just been like his natural strength or power. And he dropped him, and Parker didn't really seem that hurt. But other than that, Zhang didn't do anything.
Right.
If you want to give Zhang maybe 5 rounds, then it's a draw, right? Because then 7-5 and then the 2 knockdowns would make it a draw. But Parker definitely won more rounds than Zhang. Let's put it that way.
So with that win, that puts him as the number 1 in the WBO?
Yeah, but apparently they have a rematch clause in the contract because they asked Parker after the fight, what you got next? And he's like, I got to fight Zhang again. So he said, I got to fight Zhang. So that apparently they're going to have a rematch. So
it makes sense because, I mean, Tyson Fury's tied up with Usyk. So makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Gassed out Parker's corner, told him to take him to deep waters. Yeah. I was really surprised with Sean. Sean, has done well with Zhang, but he didn't really give much instruction until the last round. The last round was like, yo, you got to go and you got to, finish him. You got to end him. Like he didn't really say anything for the previous round. So, I don't know. It was pretty weird. Even the commentators noted it. But he didn't push the action, and he was the much stronger fighter. He obviously hurt Parker a couple times, dropped him. I feel like if he didn't gas or if he had anything left, he would have stopped him. He should have stopped him, in my opinion. So,
Okay.
BBO, what's good, BBO?
Yo, salute, man. What's up? How y'all
What's going
feeling,
on?
man?
Don't start
Great.
no crap.
Hey, great interview, man.
Thanks.
Great interview, man. Salute to my man Shock, my black brother, man.
Salute.
Hey, I was looking for my wallet. I said, that brother Tommy must got my wallet, man.
I'm surprised you say nothing about Skywalker. You always be saying Skywalker took your mom's car or something.
Hey, man, Skywalker, bring my mom's car back, man. Bring it back. But I tell you this, man, it was a great showing today. I don't know how that damn car was 9 hours. That was ridiculous, bro.
And it dragged. I didn't watch. Like I said, I only watched the 3 fights. Those 3 fights. I didn't watch anything else. I had the TV on, and it just dragged and dragged. And it started like at 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah. It was 9 my time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's great. So officially, what? How many fights were there? About 10, 12?
It was 10 fights, and it took 8.5 hours.
That's like
what's funny?
That's like an old school Don King show.
You know what's funny though, man? It's like that whole UK thing to say the UK fighters, man. That whole Saudi deal to say UK fighters, man, because that's all you see.
Oh, he got cut off.
Yeah,
he got that. He got that Obama phone.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He was talking some nonsense. They said, "No, let him speak."
What's good, Thomas Hill?
Thomas Hill. He used to play with Duke.
You know it.
Yeah.
I hated Duke.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big Duke fan neither, but that team was tough though.
Brian Davis, Thomas Hill, Grant Hill, Leitner,
Bobby Hurley.
I
hate Duke.
Yeah, Duke was tough back there, but they got the spanking put on them when they went up against
Jalen Cricket Service. Nigga BBO was good with that Wi-Fi, bro.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. Like the fight between Ray Vargas, it was odd. I think the referee, like Skywalker said, wasn't doing his job. He should have been doing a much more effective job of controlling that fight and getting order in there. Ball was he was just doing his little thug behavior to get into him and whatnot.
Yeah.
Vargas, he wasn't ready for it. I do believe that he won the last 6 and Vargas won the first 6. I believe one of those knockouts was legit. And with that,
the second one was perfect. Even though Vargas complaining, the second one, a punch landed, it was like a left hook or something. Definitely a knockout.
It caught him off balance and he fell down.
Yeah.
So that's a knockout all day.
Yeah.
So that right there, on the strength of that, I gave Ball the fight. I think Zhilei Zhang, like you said, he just didn't have any energy.
Yeah, it was just weird and awkward because he was hurting Parker, and it looked like he didn't even was throwing the punches that hard, except the third round. The third round was a straight left that was beautiful. But other than that, like the other knockdown, it's just like a weak. I mean, it was just like, I guess, his natural power or whatever. It was just like, but he didn't really have anything on it, and there was no urgency out of them, out of the goal, out of Zhang.
At all. I think that they felt like at any given time he can connect with him and he can get him up out of there. And I think that's how he fought. And if you look at the beginning of the fight, it was available because he was overreaching with a lot of his attack. And Zhang was right there to just pop him. He just didn't put the punches together. Yeah. That being said, like you said, he allowed Parker to get in a rhythm and I mean, he was busy. He was the busier fighter. He gave him something to look at, whereas Zhang gassed out, and you could clearly see he was laboring because his mouth was open the whole time. So for him to be upset with that victory, I mean, I understand you knocked him down twice, but you only really won those 2 rounds, in my opinion. Everything else was up in speculation.
Yeah. I think the first 3 rounds, I really thought Zhang won. And Zhang was talking a little shit too, which was funny. His trash talking was a little funny. He was just like he had his arms out like I thought his trash talking was pretty hilarious. But after that third round.
Well, the third round, I definitely thought he won. But the first 2 rounds, it looked like they were just touching gloves the whole time. And
but Zhang was landing. Zhang, I thought was landing more.
Yeah, he landed. You're right. He definitely landed.
At least, I thought so. But when you look at the copycat numbers, it was a big difference. Like Parker threw more power punches and landed more power punches. So, like by a big amount too, a big percentage. So
it just wasn't the fight that I had expected to see.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, the way Zhang was talking, I was expecting him to go out there and show everybody. But everybody else knows.
The big Zhang, that's what he kept saying.
I mean, he was on the high. I mean, Zhang, I mean, the way he's performed his last couple of fights, a beast. Yes, sir.
I agree. And if he would have performed well, then they would have been talking about, while they wait for that other fight to be made, they would have been talking about Joshua Zhang right now. He would have got what he was looking for.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he didn't press it, but I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, not at all. We're on the same wavelength. How old is Zhang now?
40.
I think he's 40, and his birthday's in May. So I looked that up earlier.
So this, I mean, he might have, cost himself a lot.
Oh yeah.
The old adage is that sometimes you get old overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows if he just fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
So
well, like I was saying earlier, they did say there's a rematch, so maybe he gets a rematch and maybe he stops him. That there's no third fight and then he can move on. But I would think he has to stop him. And the stoppage, like I said, it was awkward because I really thought Zhang was on his way to stopping Parker. Like if you just saw those first 3 rounds, you would have thought like, oh, this fight's not going to last long. And then all of a sudden, just switched up.
No, right now, who has a better resume in the heavyweight division than Joseph Parker? I mean, he's fought everybody, right? And I did catch the intro in and out on I think the Skybox announcers. They were just talking. They compared him to the A-Team. So he's he'll whenever you're in trouble, he'll show up. So he's fought Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua,
Ruiz. He's fought Ruiz.
Right, he got a gift against Andy Ruiz. In my opinion.
Yeah, I thought Ruiz won that fight.
Zhang, so that's 4. I mean, at some point, he's fought the most former world champions.
He's fought Del Boy a couple times, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he's got W's. So credit to Joseph Parker, who at one point was probably considered maybe overrated. When he had when he had the version of the WBO strap.
Mm-hmm.
But he's made himself in the second stage of his career. He's really rejuvenated, and he's in line. He's got the rematch, so he'll get paid there. Joseph Parker, kudos.
He's on a nice little winning streak.
Yes,
major kudos, because he was putting on a very good boxing display in that ring.
Yeah.
And then this is after losing to Joyce, and that's the only time I believe he was stopped. I don't know if he's been stopped. I think he's only been stopped once, and it was by Joe Joyce. So after his first loss to Joyce, first stoppage loss, he's not lost. He's won every single fight since. So but kudos to him. He's with Andy Lee. He's done a good job with him. So
very good job with him.
And he's been working. I guess he's always in the camp of Fury, so maybe that helps as well. So but kudos to him. We'll see what happens in a rematch. I mean, who knows what Zhang wants to do next? Like I said, it was very awkward to see that George didn't really put pressure on him to do more until the last round. I just thought that was weird. Why wait till the last round to say, look, you got to end him? But
there was no sense of urgency.
No sense of urgency until the last round, And then I thought in the last round he'd press the action. He did nothing the last round. So
he absolutely didn't do anything in the last round. It was like he had nothing to tap into. Everything was spent. And he knew that like I can possibly land a shot, but I might get shots landed upon me. And I'm fatigued right now. So if he catches me with one good one, I won't have the necessary energy to ward him off. And that's what it looked like the rest of the way.
Yeah, I agree.
And
what's up? Main event. Let's move to the main event. The main event is pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I did not think that this fight would be close. I thought this would end early, and it ended the way I thought it would end. It didn't have to end that way, and the reason why I say that is Joshua dropped him 3 times. Obviously, the third time was done. I believe after the second knockdown, they should have stopped the fight, or he should have stood down, because he did not look good in the second knockdown. If you saw his face, it's not the it was the reaction that did it for me. Like what did I get myself into type. Like, and I know, and we know he's the warrior, he's gonna get up, but I think the ref should have stopped the fight. He did not look good in the second knockdown. And you saw that happening. And I mean, it looks like he's okay, because he was in the corner, he looked good and he's fine, but that was a vicious knockout.
Did they speak to him post-fight?
I don't recall him speaking to him. No, I don't think they did. Did Thomas? Did you catch?
I know he didn't speak, but he was on the side. I mean, for the most part, they did the speaking, and he was dejected. I mean, it was a bad look for him. I mean, he never in a million years thought that he would go out like that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about, he's taking knees to the head, he's taking elbows to the head, spinning heel kicks to the head, all these strikes to the head, and yet somebody with a glove really rocks his world. And I mean, he like TD said, like Thomas said, the second knockdown, it should have been stopped at that point, because you could tell that he had a glazed look. He didn't know where he was at, but he let him get up and continue, and then within like 3 punches, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
And I mean, we did a breakdown, and we saw how he just constantly leaves the middle of his body exposed from his forehead all the way to his navel.
Yeah.
And you're talking about somebody who was extremely precise and shoots straight shots in Joshua. It was going to be either the straight right hand or the uppercut that was going to get him, because he was going to set it up, because he overreaches with that left hook.
Yeah. And add to the fact that you saying this and we seeing this, and we know the fighter that Joshua is. Joshua's a very cautious fighter. Joshua was not scared to get hit. He went, to take this guy out. Like, he knew, like, the timing there was a big differential in the timing. Like, there was no way like he was going to land anything on Joshua. Like, he caught his timing after the first round. So,
and like I said, full disclosure, I didn't see the fight, but the longer that fight went, the more confidence Ngannou would get. And credit to Joshua for not being like his countryman, a fat slob who didn't take the fight serious in Tyson Fury, got embarrassed. And credit to, I mean, Joshua gets a lot of shit, right?
Yeah.
And he's easy to hate, right? Let's face it, But he's always in shape. And he showed out. He did what he was supposed to do. And he didn't let Ngannou think for 1 second that he belonged in the same ring with him.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the fight, but just from the way you described it, I saw the highlights.
Yeah.
And
that's all you need to see, the highlights, because it was written all over his face.
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty much insulted for being in that ring with this man. Like, you're gonna really throw this guy to me? Like, he's not on my level.
Yeah.
And when they say that there's levels in boxing, that's clearly been illustrated in this fight right here.
And Francis is what, 38?
I don't know. I never.
You don't know.
I'm sorry, Sock. I mean, I don't think he researched everything today, so I apologize.
He's older, So he took those shots. We may never see the same Francis ever again. I mean,
I don't know. What do you think, Thomas? Do you think he should be in the ring again? Like, honestly,
I'm not against. I mean, he just had 2 fights with 2 of the best in the world, and let's go a little back to what Sock was saying. It's kind of, you got to kind of thank Fury for like not taking it as serious, and the performance that he did that gave Joshua to say, "Oh, no shot. I'm taking this guy seriously," and putting him away early. You know, I mean, if he wants to fight, he cannot fight the cream of the crop. He can't fight top 10 guys. He's got to start off like everybody else does, you know, when they become a fighter. And I don't think he has it. I mean, I'm happy for the guy because he's made more money than in this fight than the whole career in the UFC, right? So good for him. He deserves that money because, you know, the UFC doesn't pay Dana White. They don't pay what they should be paying these fighters. And so I'm happy that he got it. But to get it the way he did, I really don't think he should be boxing anymore. I think what he should do now is maybe go to the UFC and maybe try to get a fight with John Jones or something.
But I believe he has a deal with PFL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's got a deal with PFL.
Okay.
And I mean, look, his stock doesn't really drop because he really, quote, you know, the cliche, he dared to be great, right?
Yeah.
He fought in a different sport. You know, he handled himself well the first time. Second time, not so well. But I think his stock is still good, and you know, the PFL, from what I understand, pays well.
Yeah, I mean, and look, he can say that. Listen, I dropped the heavyweight champion of the world, right? He dropped Fury, and what if Fury beats Usyk? I dropped and pretty much beat, right? Because a lot of people thought that he won the fight and beat the undisputed champion. So he can always fall back on that. But I just don't think he should continue. You know, I mean, not at this level. Honestly, I think, you know, if Fury takes him seriously, Fury's doing the same thing, maybe even worse. And the reason why I say worse is because Fury doesn't, to me, in my opinion, he doesn't have that knockout power that Joshua has. So he might get punished for 10 rounds. Right. And that's worse. Sometimes it's better to get knocked out flush and end it early than to take a beating for 10 rounds. So, you know, I wouldn't want to see that with him because he's a tough guy. And it's like Tom was saying earlier, like he's been taking all these knees and elbows and stuff to the head. And, you know, to get dropped like that, I mean, he could take a good punch. But with boxing gloves, it's different from a guy like Joshua who's an Olympian, right? And I know we talk bad about Joshua, and you know, and he is easy to dislike, but Joshua's still one of the best fighters, one of the best heavyweights in the world. So,
no, you know, and to continue on with your point, and you know, in conjunction with Sock's point, you know, we always big up Wilder for starting late in the game and achieving such a great career. You got to say the same thing of Joshua. He started at 19 years old, went to the Olympics, got a gold medal. Shortly thereafter, became a champion in the heavyweight division. I mean, that's not easy to do.
No.
That truly shows you that this man got something special behind him. I do understand because I know that most of it was internal. Like he would question himself. I don't think he has questions of himself anymore. I think he's fully aware of who he is now and what he needs to do in that ring. I'm sorry?
Who was in his corner? Who was his trainer?
Oh, Davison.
Ben Davison.
Ben Davison?
Yeah, he's back fully with Ben Davison.
Yeah. And he gave credit to all the trainers after the fight. I thought it was cool. He credited all the guys he's worked with, but he said he just kind of found something with Davison. Now, a couple things. I'm going to go back to the Olympics. First of all, I'm biased to the American Olympic team. I think it's much harder to make the Olympic team than it is in the UK and the United States. So, you know, so I think that's why I always credit any Olympian in the United States that makes the Olympic team. I think that's a great feature in itself. To go through that tournament, to win nationals, to the Olympic, and then, you know, we had guys, you know, the United States haven't won a gold medal, I guess, I don't know, it's been a minute. But still, we always acknowledge those guys. Marquez, we were just speaking about earlier, he was an Olympian. He didn't win a medal, but he, you know, to have that pedigree, you know. But for Wilder to make the Olympic team and to win a bronze medal, I think it's great. And yeah, Joshua won the gold, but I just want to say that the U.S. the American team, I think it's harder to make the American team than the UK team. But that's a little bit biased.
No, I don't think that is biased, and I think that it's also harder for them.
Talent pool's deep.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, yeah, I think it's a good point. And a lot of guys wind up trying to represent their second nationality to get into the Olympics, like someone like Andre Berto. Andre Berto went to the Olympics with the Haitian flag. You although he born in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Tom, you wanted to say something? Sorry, I think we cut you off. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say, you make a very good point. I mean, it is difficult, much more difficult for you to make the American team than as opposed to some of these other national teams, maybe with the exception of like the Soviets, the Kazakhstans, because they have their team set. But it's even more difficult for our country to place because of the hate that people have for us. There have been many times where our fighters were robbed of the time to be gold medal fighters because they just didn't get awarded the victory when they should have. So.
That's true. Floyd Mayweather is one, right? I mean, right off the top of my head, Floyd should have won the gold medal, and he didn't. I don't remember the Shakur Stevenson one. He didn't win a gold medal. I don't remember how that one. And more recent, Keyshawn Davis. I thought he won, but I thought it was extremely close. So it wasn't a robbery. So, but yeah.
Roy Jones, the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roy Jones. I thought
it was cool seeing Floyd cry though. Floyd's a big crybaby.
I know a lot of people look at it like that.
To my man, Martin Castillo for whipping Floyd's ass in the amateurs. Shout out to Martin. Although I don't do shout outs, but Martin Castillo.
He the man.
Spank Floyd. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just go back to my other point on Joshua. Joshua seems to, find his own, but I don't want people to get too carried away. I spoke about this. Was on a panel of my guy Trill Will's page earlier this evening, and I said the same thing. I said his last 3 fights, AJ did. Look who he's fought.
Yeah.
The Helenius fight, he was cautious. He stopped him. It was a wicked knockout, but it took him 5-6 rounds, and he was very cautious in that fight. And he took some punches in that fight. Then he fought a guy that he's been in a ring with before that couldn't hurt him in Waling, and Waling was there. Just he was being built as this guy that gave Fury problems, and then now he just fought a guy that was the second pro fight. So I don't want to. Joshua looked good, but let's not get. I don't want people to get carried away with Anthony Joshua. Yeah, not yet. Let's see what happens. Now he'll probably get a big fight.
Very
hold on, Sock. That's a big win, Sock.
The BVO, he got service again.
Yeah, that's a big win, Sock.
You ran to the cashier and paid your bill.
Yo, y'all be going hard.
It's funny, man. Hey, I had to run to the store and pay my bill like we do the Dominicans do, man. I had to run and pay my bill.
Go ahead, BVO. What you gonna say? That was a good one.
I heard your little Puerto Rican jokes and shit you were saying. I heard you, man.
Oh, shit.
I heard you, man.
Let me go to that.
I said that was a big win, man, for AJ. I think that was a big win, Sock.
I agree. Hey, it was like, hey, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, I know how you usually. I'm not black, but it's good to see a brother win.
I support my brothers.
Yeah, man. The funny thing about AJ, man, it's good to see him get a big win like this, man, because man, he been getting dogged out the last week, especially man by my brother Thomas from the Bronx, man. He been dogging AJ.
I'm not dogging AJ. What did I say wrong?
You talk crazy about
people not to get carried away with AJ. That's all I'm saying.
The dude just beat Tyson Fury. Come on, man.
It's true, but then also him with him fighting Tyson Fury and Fury looking the way he looked, it gave AJ a little bit more, focus as to take this guy serious. Because come on, Fury didn't take this guy serious.
Yeah, I mean that could be the case, but I just thought it was a good spectacle, and shout out to the Saudis for saving UK boxing single-handedly. Because if it wasn't for the Saudis, man, UK boxing would be done. It'd be absolutely done. Because you ain't see one brother on that doggone card, man. It was crazy.
So what was Anthony Joshua?
I'm talking about from the United States is what I'm saying.
Okay.
He was a Cheerio.
That's
You know,
the only brother was Sean George, the trainer, Zhang's trainer. He's from Brooklyn, so Sean George is the only brother on the card.
Yeah, but no, I fully agree with what the statement is. I mean, the last 3 opponents haven't been something to write home about.
Mm-hmm.
But what has been something to write home about is the struggles within himself don't seem to be ever present as they have been. And when he's supposed to get people out, he gets people out. And that's always something that you should always be allotted for, at least, because it could have lingered on, and you never know what happens if it lingers on.
Yeah.
Hey, you know the cool thing about it, man. It's good to see some good boxing, and not keep talking about these doggone fairy tale fights we're not gonna ever get. It was good to see some real boxing, man. Because I get tired of talking about Shakur and Devin and my man T. I get tired of talking about them same 3 niggas, man.
But then they don't even got fights lined up. Like, I mean, who's Shakur gonna fight? Like, come on, And then now everybody's, we got Haney and Garcia. I'm looking forward to it, but but I want both fighters to be, on point, and obviously, once again, I always admit when I'm biased. I'm biased because the fight's going to be here in New York, and and it's always good when New York got the big fights, so.
It's not going to be in the Bronx, though, right?
No, it's going to be in Brooklyn.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're going to come? You said you're coming. You said you're going to come, April.
Yeah, I already got my I already rented a van, man. I'm gonna drive up there, man. Check it out, man.
Right,
you gonna be at the fight?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's gonna be a lot of Germans there, so they're gonna be in there.
And there ain't no Germans in the fight. Yo, you're an asshole, bro.
You're gonna be there eating a hot dog, man.
Don't happen.
Hey, you already know, man. I was talking Spanish. Hey, Sock, tell me why I was talking Spanish to my man Tommy on the phone. The nigga said, I don't speak Spanish, bro. That's what he told me. Man.
I know a little bit of Spanish. I'm not bad. I'm a New York Rican, man. What's wrong with you, man?
No, you're a New York German.
Nah.
you totally killing the gimmick, man.
I know he's killing. This is how they do me, Sock. This is how they do me. And you know what? I'm not even mad because my own wife be doing me dirty too. She be calling me a fake.
She be watching the show, man.
No, because she lives with me and she knows me, and she always call me like a fake Puerto Rican. She be clowning me like like sometimes when I do the show, I have the Puerto Rican hat on. She be like, "Why you wearing that Puerto Rican hat? You know you're not Puerto Rican." She be clowning me, man. She got jokes.
It's like Geraldo Rivera. Right?
He like Geraldo. Yeah, that's a good comparison. Sock. I like that. I knew you was a brother.
Man, Sock.
You got to kick a man when he's down.
I appreciate.
Remember that dude slapped with that wrestler Geraldo and said that's a real slap.
Oh, that was a Stone Cold.
No. He talked about 2020, and that wasn't Geraldo. That was I forgot to do some dude's name. John Stasshauer, and it was Dr. David Schultz.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was okay. Yeah, they did a documentary on that.
Yes, slapped shit out of him.
You said it's fake, huh?
He go a real slap. Boom.
Real redneck.
My Spanish is not. I mean, it's all right. I know a little. I can speak a little bit of Spanish, but I should learn. I just the way I grew up, and I don't want to get into that, but
I mean, you grew up speaking German. I mean, no big deal.
I don't know a word of German.
Eating that what's because it's big German stuff is big in Cleveland, man. You know what's usually eating
What they eat?
What's that?
Bratwurst or something?
With sauerkraut and all that.
Sauerkraut, yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rican, you don't eat no tacos, huh?
Tacos, Mexicans eat tacos, but I like eating tacos. I eat the Mexican food.
You eat mofongo?
You don't eat Mexican food?
You eat mofongo?
Mofongo, yeah, we eat mofongo, yeah.
You listen to Anuel?
What?
You listen to Anuel?
Who's that?
Oh, he's definitely not a Puerto Rican. You listen to Anuel, dog. He's definitely not a Puerto Rican, dog.
Yeah, you ain't shit. But anyway, back to boxing. That was the card today. Nothing too special. Maybe the Vargas ball fight, that was pretty solid, but
what a robbery, man!
It was a
what
bad decision. Yeah, that was a terrible decision.
Yeah, Nick Ball got robbed, man. Usually a face match do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And there's no boxing tomorrow. Is there boxing tomorrow?
I don't think so.
There may be some kind of fun going.
I
think that's UFC tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. I'm looking here. There's nothing scheduled tomorrow. The next fight, they got to fight Wednesday. Sullivan Barrera is fighting Wednesday on Pro Boxing.
I want that to
the same Sullivan Barrera that fought Andre Ward?
I think so. He's fighting Radikov Kalaktovic.
Get the fuck out of here.
How did you get in the business, man?
What's up?
I was saying, hey, Stock, how did you get into the strength and conditioning business, man?
How did I get into strength and conditioning business?
Yeah.
Well, I've always worked out. I'd say probably pretty much been around gyms for about 25 years or so. And the first fighter I worked with was Mark and Ray Ferrate used to own a gym in the Bronx. They are the owners. They trained Edgar Berlanga. They had a gym in the Bronx. And the first fight I worked with was Troy Omar Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in like 2000 and let me see my daughter. I use my kids as like my calendar. My daughter's about 2 years old, so like 2012.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together, and I worked. So just kind of, I was always a personal trainer, and I would work out of their gym, and that was the first person I worked with. I worked a little bit with Argenis Mendez. So just kind of just being always a gym rat, so to speak.
And you didn't speak about Alexis Ariza. Didn't you take some?
Well, Alex Ariza is a friend of mine who I met through my time in the media, and we just hit it off. And I always picked his brain, kind of like a mentor. And I ripped off a lot of his workouts, and I implement a lot of his training strategies. So, and actually, I have to reach out to him because Manny Pacquiao is supposed to fight Conor Benn, and he may be involved with that. So,
well, let me ask you this: what's the number one thing you do, man, to maintain your diet? Because I know that's like 90% of working out is that diet, man. What's something you do to maintain a good diet?
Well, it's like pornography, right? It's like I don't know what it is. I mean, you know what it is when you see it, right? Same thing with diet. You know what's good for you, you know what's bad for you. When fighters are trying to cut weight, it's discipline. It's staying away from processed foods, high protein, low carbs, lots of water. Obviously it's not McDonald's, not any fast foods and things like that. Stay away from sugars, processed foods. That's the enemy.
What about Chipotle? Is Chipotle considered healthy food or no?
Fucking guy, man, I can't.
No, I'm being serious.
Well, Chipotle is not bad at all. Just it depends what you get.
What would you recommend to get that would be good?
The number 4.
What?
No, I'm being serious because I'm always trying to figure that out, man. That's one thing I can say. When I was crash dieting and stuff like that, or using clenbuterol, man, I didn't struggle. But go ahead.
You said clenbuterol?
Yeah, clenbuterol is real heavy in the NFL, man. As far as the weight cutter.
That's that Canelo stuff.
Yeah. But I think the thing, I guess the hardest thing I'm trying to do is find out different things I can do. Because the working out part I really enjoy. Like, it's just as far as like I'm trying to find some better ideas on how to eat better, man. Because you can fuck up a whole day with the wrong food choice,
Yes, home cook. Your kitchen is your best friend. Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, because I'm not the best cook. So what's something you would recommend if somebody's not the best cook?
Get yourself a girlfriend that knows how to cook.
Well, Sock, get this. Why do you tell Sock what nationality your wife is?
My wife is Dominican.
No, not you. BVO.
Oh,
She's my wife's Dominican as well.
Nice. Salute.
Yeah, she's
What
from.
about your girlfriend? What nationality is she?
She's from Punta Cana, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, she came here like in the 90s. Lived in Spanish Harlem for a long time, and then came to Cleveland around 16 or 17. Yeah, her parents. Yeah.
Have you been to DR?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good, it's a good place. The one thing I'll never understand about the DR is how the people like have no love for the Haitians, man. They're on the same damn island. I don't understand that.
They have no love for what?
I said I noticed that the people really are rough on like Haitians, and they're on the same island. That's the part I don't understand.
I think that's cap because Haitians, as far as I know, they've always lived in DR, like always, and a lot of times, a lot of Haitian families, they, economically they're not in the best terms. They literally ask for you to to take care of their kids, and in turn, they kind of like, they've been adopted and they work off, they work for their living, so like I've had family members that have had Haitians in their household, and they're basically like part of the family, but they're working, so I think there's a lot of cap, trust me. I'm 46.
I'm only speaking from my experience. When I first met my wife's father, the nigga's like 5 shades darker than me and had an issue with me being black. So I'm not saying that's everybody, but he kind of was very disappointed that his daughter didn't choose another Dominican or a Spanish man. So I don't know if that's not everybody, I'm sure, but I can say that was a pretty appointed contention that because I was black, he really felt like he had to let me know that. Yeah.
Has your relationship gotten better over the years?
Yeah, it really did because he passed away. God rest his soul. But
I knew something was coming. That's why I turned the camera off because I don't know with this guy, man. I really don't know what BVO. I swear
I'm being serious. It got better when he got sick. And
how many kids you guys got?
It got better when he got sick and realized, you know what, hey man, because unlike most people my age, man, I come August, I've been married 10 years, man, which is not always the common thing, man. For somebody 33, like I got married. I've been with my wife 13 years, married 10. So, that's kind of rare.
You guys have kids?
Yeah, we got one daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
One daughter. Okay.
Yeah. They're expensive to take care of, Sock. You know how that go, man.
Well, trust me, I know my daughter's about to go to college, so.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought trying to find school would be such a tough thing. Like we've been looking at different, kindergarten options, and man, it's funny how if you want to give your kid a good education, you got to usually pay for it.
Listen, you have to invest in your kids. If you can, you have to.
Yeah.
BBO's a good dude. He's just, you're a funny guy, BBO. I knew you was going to say something silly. I was hoping you was going to say, I built a good relationship with him. And then you said, no.
What about her mother?
Oh, me and her mother got along really well. Because when you still improve, man, usually that kind of thaws for a woman more so than a man. Her dad kind of was under the, he came here, kind of had a rough time, so he kind of was one of those guys who was a little bit bitter because things didn't kind of work out the way he, thought they would. I mean, when you talking about coming from like, we went to like where they're from. You talking about one of the poorest places, man. You couldn't even imagine. I'm talking about, loose chickens and dirt floors. It was pretty rough, man. They had it pretty rough, man. Everybody's not living good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
People don't realize that everybody's not living. America's say what you want about America, but it's a great place, man.
People Americans have no idea what poverty is.
For sure.
Outside,
It's true.
trust me. There's people right now in 2024 that are dropping deuces in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my wife didn't grow up with indoor plumbing, man. She didn't get she didn't have her first shower until she was in like 9th, 10th grade.
I believe it. I believe it.
Oh.
I believe it.
Are you from the DR originally, or you grew up in New York?
No, sir. I'm from the island of Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
St. Luke's Hospital.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny when you hear people's stories, man, and they always, whether it's good or bad, you know, people don't realize, man, America's great, man. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's problems all over the world, but yeah.
Say one more time.
I mean, for all its imperfections, it's still the best.
The only thing I can say that I've noticed from guys getting to travel, like I've been to Senegal, I've been to Paris, I've been to Madrid. You know, one of my favorite places is still, man, when I went to Turkey, man. When I went to Istanbul, I had a ball. But you could tell, like, one thing that we don't do in America is spend money on our cities, like the downtown infrastructure. When you go overseas, man, you can see that they spend their money on their downtown, or they spend their money like on infrastructure more than we do. That's the biggest thing I noticed.
You know, I mean, infrastructure, I mean, it's been in the news. Yeah, I mean, there's highways and roads that you're like, damn, this is New York. You know, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that maybe a little bit more layered, you know, I think because here in the States, a lot of those jobs are like union based and outside contracted. And I wonder if it's on purpose to keep these roads, you know, fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, that way they could keep the work flowing. There are places in the South that are likened to third world. I hate that term, countries.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah.
I just think for me, the hard part is when you see us give money to like different countries, or we got like a bunch of immigrants coming in, and you know, we giving them money. I got you guys in New York, you guys see the shit show that's going on. They're bringing all these immigrants in, and it's like, God damn, what about the people that's been here working their ass off? You know what I mean?
That's the frustration that we got to deal with here. And probably, you know, all over the country, but New York is bad. I mean, and I can only speak about New York, but it's bad. Now we got this thing with the subways now, and all this crime that's happening, and you know, they're attacking cops and police officers too. Like it's getting bad over here, man.
And you know the funny thing about New York that still people don't even talk about, the fact that Staten Island don't even have a subway system still. That should be a priority, man. It's been all these years and we still don't have, you know, Staten Island a part of the subway. I mean, it's bullshit. You shouldn't have to catch the damn ferry to go to Staten Island. That's ridiculous to me. But
so what you want to? How would they get to the island? You want to build a subway to the island?
They should.
On the bridge?
Everywhere else got the subway. They should have a subway too.
They got on the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean,
well, you gotta think about it, Tom. You gotta think
Far
about
Rockaway has that train that goes over the water.
Yeah. And think about Far Rockaway. Far Rockaway should be a fucking borough, man. I mean,
but isn't it part of Queens?
Yes. I guess, but
if you go to the city of Queens,
yes.
But it seems like it's this old thing. When you go to Far Rockaway, man, you don't feel like you're in Queens.
But you know, it's like New York City as a whole should probably be a state, and then the rest of the New York state should be a state. I think New York City should probably be a state. But
I mean, economically, yeah. I mean, we support, you know, the rest of the state. You know, we pay more taxes than them, and the same thing like Long Island. Yeah.
I just think the only bad thing is, man, y'all got one of the worst mayors in history, man. Like, he's a piece of shit. Adams, man, he's a piece of shit.
BBO, in November, we gonna make America great again?
Oh my God, here we go. You already.
It sounds like you're leaning. It sounds like you know.
You know,
I know BBO is a Trump supporter.
No, to be honest with you, man,
You got to pay the kicks. I'm looking for the.
I'll be honest with you, man. I like Trump the first 3 years, but that shit he pulled at the end, man, I didn't like that, man.
I never liked that. I never liked Trump. Never will.
He was great to me. He was terrific the first 3 years, but when he tried to do all that, had them dumbasses storming the Capitol, all that bullshit. That's where we parted ways, man. Because you know what? There's nobody bigger than the country, man. I don't give a fuck who you are. Nobody's bigger than the country, man.
That is true.
So I don't know I don't think it might be me sounding a little hyperbolic, but anytime you got somebody who's undemocratic, man, I think you should get his ass out of here, because you listen to his supporters, not so much like, I'm not talking about ones with with a brain, but they're looking for a lot of the people that support him are looking for a dictator, man. I don't want a dictator.
No. It's I think we're looking for common sense.
Yeah.
I think
we all looking for that, but I think that doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy election year.
It's going to be quite interesting. I tell you now. I mean, I don't like either candidate, which is bananas. Like, it's just, but New York is a blue state, so it doesn't matter anyway. So
yeah. No, and the original thing, BBO, Mayor Adams is a bozo.
Say it one more time.
Mayor Eric Adams is a clown.
Yeah, Adams is a piece of shit, man.
Is he worse than the last guy? The last guy was pretty terrible.
De Blasio was pretty bad.
He was pretty terrible.
Although he did approve the universal pre-K, which was pretty good. That's about it.
You know what's so funny, man? For all the money New York City makes, I'll tell you, man, it's just like most of everywhere. You guys don't benefit at all.
No.
Like, you don't benefit at all. I mean,
right.
I'll be honest, New York is safer than it's ever been, because you can walk through like East New York and not get your head knocked off, but it's still like, you look at
that's not completely true. It's better.
It's not what it used to be, though. East New York.
Exactly. No, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that, because there's bad places here, and I know you're gonna say the Bronx because that's what you're gonna do.
But. No, I'm not gonna say the Bronx. I'm just saying. Well, I'll be honest with you, man. One thing people don't talk about, I've never been to a safe poor neighborhood. I've never seen it. There's no such thing as a safe poor. When people are poor, man, rats eat rats, man. I mean, you probably don't understand that, Tommy being a upper middle class kid, but
what?
It's rough, man. It's rough out here, baby.
Say that again.
I said, you being an upper middle class kid, you probably don't understand.
Yeah, upper middle class. I grew up poor. Okay, Soundview in the Bronx, all my life.
You mean you went to go visit people in Soundview?
You tell me what class that is.
Well, you mean you went to go visit people in Soundview, right?
No, I still live in Soundview today.
You do, Soundview, man. That's right.
This is considered a Soundview section.
So,
I mean, there's no cap. There's no way that you can never say that about me. Now, do I have a good paying job, and am I good? Yes, but I still live in it. I live in the hood. So people look at me and they think I'm either undercover or I don't know what they think. But yeah, I glow here, but I'm in the hood all my life. So and pretty much I live in the other side of Soundview, and I grew up in the other side. So I don't know if you know anything about the Bronx. The other side of the Bruckner, I lived on the other. I lived on two sides of the Bruckner in the Soundview area.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Over there, and the cool thing, where you talking about you at, it's been quieted down quite a bit. It's just like my aunt's house in East New York, man. She owned, I don't know, is that called a brownstone?
Brownstone houses?
Yeah, she owns a brownstone house. It got like an apartment up top, and it's like a total of 5 bedrooms altogether. Up top is an apartment, and then she lives in the bottom, which is an apartment. And
that's $1.5 million, almost $2 million building.
If you own it, that's good property. Yeah,
she's owned it since 1974. So her and my uncle, when they came to New York, they ended up buying it. And my grandfather, all my dad's brothers and sisters all grew up in that area, and then they came to Cleveland. But you just think about how somebody in there, I think she's 94. You see somebody 94 years old still living in their home, man, and not afraid to take her trash out. It's great, man. It's great to still see that,
No,
man.
it's gotten much better. I mean, there's cameras all over now. I mean,
Yeah.
does that completely stop people from doing what they got to do? But they're pretty much all over. I mean, you definitely, there's more caution, but the areas, I mean, I live where I live, my block is not that bad, but I'm literally a block away from the Story Avenue projects, you
Yeah.
know, and then the Bronxdale projects is the other side, and then I'm at the Bruckner, and then there's, you know, there's you know, further down is, you know, Soundview is even worse than the projects over there. So I'm not too far from where the commotion is. Where my kids went to school, which is a block away, in the grammar school, which is up to 5th grade, the project is right across the street. I can't tell you how many times they had a shutdown because there was shots fired during the day, and they had to keep, you know, the kids there because, you know, they had to patrol the area. So, you know, it's not, you still have knuckleheads, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and even in the good areas, you're gonna have knuckleheads. You know, there's no really safe place, you know. But to your point, it's gotten better, but I wouldn't say it's completely, you know, safe because listen, I remember a few years ago, I'm going to say like it was before COVID, where 2 blocks away from where I live, they, in broad daylight, the guy was at the bus stop waiting for the bus. I don't know if he was waiting for the bus or what, but he had a baby, pretty much a newborn. They said like a few months, and they went behind him and shot him dead in the head in front of everybody, and the baby dropped, and then the people just ran off. Mind you, there's a precinct maybe like a couple blocks away from that area. So people just don't care. You know, I think a couple years ago in 2022, they killed 2 people, you know, in broad daylight over here. Like it's so knuckleheads are everywhere, bro. Like, you know, it's not, it's better, but it's not completely safe. I mean, we see the news over here, you know, so.
Well, see, the thing that's so crazy is like I remember I had a buddy that lived in Battery Park back in the day. And I remember you come off his balcony, you looking at the Statue of Liberty, man. The sad thing is, man, they make it so expensive to live somewhere where it's actually safe, man. And that's why a lot of people like my father, my aunt, my other uncle all left New York because it's so expensive. You almost can't have a great life, man. Like it's a damn shame that you live that close to that much violence, man. You know.
Yeah.
But you know the cool thing about you, man, they're not gonna mess with no white dude, man. You all right.
I can't with this guy.
What you think, Tommy?
What do you think? What?
Oh, I'm talking about Tommy.
You think I never been into like a fight or been jumped or got into an issue or problem?
I mean, I'm sure you've been beat up before. I'm sure somebody gave you a swirly or two. You know, I'm sure. I mean, but what I'm saying is the thing that I hate is that unlike our parents, people don't take pride in what they do have.
Yeah.
I remember,
That's
growing up seeing people planting flowers, and my uncles would sweep the sidewalk. You know, these idiots now, man, they spit and piss on anything.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You know,
they be fixing up. They fixed up a lot of parks. They fixed up a lot of parks over here, and you know, they get ruined like the next week. You know, it's just.
You know, you don't even got the kids. The kids won't even go to the fucking libraries, man. You know, when we was growing up, we went to the libraries and read the Bearstein Bears and Judy B. Jones, all that bullshit. We read all that stuff. These kids now, man, all they want to do is like watch like violence or being part of violence, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of our young children are over sexualized. You should hear about the case of warts from like what some of these kids are doing, man. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But the good thing is, man, is that we can come up here and talk about it and hopefully find resolutions, man. Because no matter what, man, it shouldn't be how it is in New York, man. It's a damn shame, man. Like now they want to charge you to come into the fucking city. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're looking to do that. Yeah.
Congesting pricing.
And guess what they're gonna find out in a few years? Everybody's gonna leave that motherfucker like they've been doing.
Yeah.
And then they bring the immigrants in to try to change the vote. I mean, they're not slick what they're doing, man. The places where Black and Spanish people dominate, voting is New York and Chicago. That's where all the immigrants are going.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's not a coincidence, man. You know.
Yeah.
You got immigrants from China, all that bullshit. And they keeps coming in, getting a brand new Nike Tech suit and shit. I don't think that's cool, man.
Yeah, you're right.
But boxing aside, man, I just tell you what, I just hate what's happening to New York, man. I
Yeah.
really do. The justification, people don't realize justification is very violent. You talking about people can't afford to live in the neighborhoods they grew up in and had their first memories in. I mean, we can't even make our neighborhood better because you outprice us.
Yep.
I mean, go to East New York, man, the greatest borough in New York, man, Brooklyn, man, and you just go there, you see the difference, man. Like it's like I've never seen so many white people like walking up and jogging up and down the street, man. I'm being serious, man. You
No,
you can imagine that
it's the
never
same
happened.
thing like in West Harlem, and then
Yeah.
the west side of Harlem is the same thing.
I mean, it don't even look recognizable.
Yeah.
They
But,
try to tear down all the projects, and it's just weird, man. It's just sad to see what they're doing, man. They really trying to attack us as Black and Spanish people, man. We got to be more vigilant on what's going on, man. As much shit as I give you, Tommy, I want you and your family to be happy just like you want my family to be happy, man. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't hold it against the Puerto Ricans for destroying Harlem. I don't hold it against them. It is what it is.
Listen. I mean, everybody got a story, right?
For
And
sure.
and I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, I try to do it, and I try to teach my kids, and I took care of my family, and I continue to take care of my family, and I just want them to be able to do the same thing when they get older, and to learn certain things. Now, mind you, they don't go outside as much as I went outside. I was always outside.
Right.
Sock, we was always out playing ball or doing something. They don't do that. The kids don't do that anymore. And whether I don't know if it's because we're strict or because we're just afraid to be in certain places or whatever now, or the interest. Nobody has interest to be outside and playing. But I mean, I that's why I tell people like. Yeah, I just want to real quick. This is why I tell people not to show my arrogance. I always remind people like, look me up. Look what I did for my community. I gave back, right? And I'm not no rich, successful guy. I'm successful in my own way, but I've volunteered coaching baseball for 12 years. I did volunteer in my church for multiple years. Youth group, all that. So I did my service, and nobody can ever say, "Oh, what did you do?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I brag about what I did. I'm very proud of what I did for my community. And if you come over here and I gave you a tour of what it is now, and then I could explain what it was back then, definitely proud of what I did. So I always want the best for everybody. I wish that for everybody, and and if I could help you, I'd help you. Right? Like I'm always, I'll lay out a hand and help. Sock has been like that too. So I mean, and I think that's why we were friends for so long. We were friends like 35 years, pretty much. We both got the same kind of mindset, So, but yeah, go ahead, Sock. Sorry, just wanted to throw that.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, man, it's yeah, you said it best. I mean, you do. We're all selfish by to a certain extent, but you do have to give back, especially if you live in the area. You have to give back because it's a small world.
Yeah, and they're gonna remember that. Like, think about the people. Listen, a lot of the people that I'm friends with now, or like you see, like let's say I use Facebook as an example. Got like 1,000 friends on Facebook, right? Do I know all 1,000 of them? No, but I tell you, the good majority of those people are kids that I work with that are now adults, from all the leagues that I coach and umpire games, and then all the fantasy football leagues and stuff we've been and all the teams and leagues that we actually played in. Like, that's a good majority. And then look at YouTube. Look at how we us five I know D Free is probably working, and Thomas, I don't know where Thomas is at, but look how we can have a conversation. We've
right here in the cut. I'm chilling.
Okay, good. We've never met in person, but we've established a relationship where we can converse and have these conversations, and I can consider you our friends. I'm not saying we're going to be best friends, but if I met you in person and we hit it off great, then I consider you a really good friend. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me by nature. That's just the way
I
the
mean,
way I am, you know, and
that's a good
you
point. I
know
mean, but you gotta remember, like you like the Puerto Rican Doug Heffernan.
the
So
what Doug Heffernan. This
you the
guy,
Puerto Rican
nigga
Doug
suck.
Heffernan. So it's like I would expect you to say that. The only thing I would say is it's just on a serious note, it's just sad to see us as black and brown people, man, lose our areas of the city, and the city just don't give a fuck, man. It's just ridiculous, man. Like I just like even in Cleveland on the West Side Market, they tore down a bunch of these projects and stuff people used to live in, and now they move these $2-3 million uh suites downtown, on the downtown West Side. It's like who can afford to live there, man? It's just bullshit. You
Yeah,
know, it's people I know in New York, man, who've been living in the same apartment 20, 30 years because they can't get something else. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And
It's
then you get
expensive, and everything is
something else.
smaller. Everything gets smaller and more expensive.
Then you talking about
Yeah.
a house from the fucking 40s that they want $200,000-$300,000 for. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like that's the first thing I remember about Queens. Like, man, who want to live in this little bitty old ass house for 200,000? I mean, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's the same thing in LA. I mean, what you think, Tommy? You dealing with that same thing, right?
Oh
With
yeah.
what? Oh, sorry. I forgot it's another Thomas.
Yeah, your name ain't Thomas, man. Your name is Tommy, man. Stop talking that bullshit. Tell me your name is Tommy. Your name is Tommy, man.
I appreciate that because my wife calls my son Tommy, and she hates when I respond. I do that to bust her balls, though. But just
Oh wow, she was dating.
yeah. But yeah. I
Only
don't
thing I
mean
worry
to
about
be a
what you tell me is that like to hang out with you, I would have to worry about where's my wallet at.
nah, man. Yeah.
That's all you think, man.
But listen, I don't mean to dead the conversation. It was a good conversation, but it's getting a little late. Appreciate you guys coming on and stuff, and it was a good chat. We had a good interview today.
Very good.
Um, hopefully we could do this again. Maybe I was still trying to work on another night to do this besides Friday because we have a few people lined up too. So, but I saw the email. Stitch did email me that documentary. I'm gonna take a look. I'll forward it to you guys, and hopefully that'll be another. I guess that'll be another good live. I would put it on D Free's things to give D Free, let him quarterback. I'll stream it here, but let D Free quarterback it on his channel, and we'll have fun with it. And it's about building, growing. It's a hobby and sharing too. So I don't mind doing it. Sock shares, all the people with us. So right. So I mean, and we have a good time with it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh yeah, Sock's a good dude, man. I mean, he don't like black people, but he's a good brother, man. I love Sock. He's a great guy.
That's kind of far from the truth, sir. I mean,
he says that about everybody, though. Sock, you gotta understand.
Well, if I don't pick with you, Sock, nobody will bother you, man. So I gotta bother you.
I appreciate it.
But no, man, appreciate you guys having me on, man. God bless, man.
Yes, God bless, brother.
Salute, sir.
The Asiatic black man. Oh, he left.
But, he's definitely gonna leave.
His quarter ran out.
Tom just dropped. I didn't even touch nobody. People just dropping like Friday. I think D Free is just busy.
Yes, it's getting a little bit past my bedtime, sir.
Yeah. You're doing ring talk tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna talk. He's gonna talk about the fight. So you should try to watch a little bit of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Thank you for staying with us, sticking with us tonight. Appreciate you. But yeah, I go on. I guess Sunday. Yeah. So it was funny last week. You came on late last week, or was you on last week? No. Okay, I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I did it live on Sunday. We just did it right in line. Pedro was in the chat. That was pretty funny. Pedro was in the chat. I forgot what he was talking about. I don't know if he was defending Ryan or he was just like kind of,
Pedro Fernandez?
Huh? Pedro Fernandez, yeah, he was in the chat through Facebook because I have it streaming on Facebook. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, fun. So I'm probably give him a call tomorrow and talk about that. But Yeah.
Okay.
That was cool. But we'll touch base. Obviously, we'll touch base. D Free. I don't know if you're still listening. Probably not. He's muted, but I'm gonna end the live. Sock, we always talk. D Free, I'll hit you up if you ever hear this replay. So, all right. I appreciate everybody that came through. Thank you for
Daylight
joining us.
savings time.
What's
Daylight
up?
savings time on Sunday.
Seriously, already?
Yeah, spring ahead.
No, I think no. Are you sure?
I think so.
See, now you think so. See, I didn't hear
No,
that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 99.9%.
Daylight savings 2024. Hold on. Sunday, March 10th.
Boom.
Oh, all right. I apologize for doubting you.
Yeah.
All right, bro. We'll talk.
Peace.
Appreciate everybody that came through. Gonna put Stitch. Thank you, Stitch, for coming through. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys. Worst case scenario next Friday. Maybe not, because there's a fight next Friday here in the Garden with Kalen Walsh. Not sure. I don't think I'm gonna go. But we'll be in touch. Peace, guys.